Hello everyone, welcome back to another World Showcase video. So this is an updated version of the one I released last year in about, I think it was June 2023. So this is going to kind of preview all the stuff that's coming for the rest of this year, obviously July onwards. I like to do these every 6 months or so to try and just show you what we've got coming up. I did miss the one I think at Christmas, obviously for the new year. But that's because I was so busy with the Christmas tutorials that I think I just completely forgot. So as per usual, we are going to start in the same format as before, which is where we do the Star Wars stuff that's completed, go through all of those in all the different scales, and then the Halo stuff again in all different scales. And then we'll move on to a place called the Shipyards, which is where I keep all my work in progress stuff, and you can see that and kind of what I've been working on over there. And then there's a few other little worlds as well to show you, but there's nothing too major after that. These are all just my kind of main focuses at the minute. But I will also show you as well the kind of tutorial pad area, because I have redeveloped that quite a bit since last time. So yes, that is going to be everything for the intro, I think. So let's just move on straight away to the Star Wars section. I'm going to label it Star Wars, but I'm also going to show you the tutorial pad area within that section, just because I do a lot of Star Wars stuff on that tutorial pad. So yes, let's crack on with that. Okay, so starting off with the Star Wars section and also the tutorial pad as well. I'm just going to quickly go over this. It's not completely finished yet. You can see a few little blemishes here and there, but this is the underside, which has been redeveloped. It's got a really cool fog effect with this red stained glass here. It does glitch out a little bit though, but it looks really nice. And all of this here has been turned into sort of, I like to imagine it as like an arena of some sort, but it looks really cool. I like the kind of podiums with the fire and the things up at the top which sort of catch the smoke from there. It just looks like a very interesting area, like a boss battle, arena. So that's basically it for that. Obviously we do the tutorials up here. Since last time I've added the kind of dotted lines and the solid and transparent lines and stuff, and the grey lines as well. And I don't know if the arrows were on the last one, but yeah, it's all just been developed to make it as useful as possible for when the tutorials are done. So yeah, that's basically it for the tutorial area. We've just got a load of portals here as well, which leads you to each of the Star Wars factions. I am going to do the same for the Halo, but I haven't got round to it yet, so there's no portals on that side. But yeah, we're going to start over here with the Galactic Republic in 1:1 scale. So in terms of changes, it's been minimal. I've sort of not finished the lineup, but I think it's slowed down to a point where it's pretty much not going to change all too much. Because I have made a lot of the things, and I think with 1:1 scale, it gets to a certain point where if you've made something, it's not going to be made much better unless there's new blocks introduced. I have just been filling in a lot of the gaps with alternate modes, alternate colours, things like that. So for instance, the Eta 2 Actis Starfighters now have both the open and closed mode fully developed, and in all, well, not all 4 colours, but 4 distinct colours here. I want to say this one at the front is Obi-Wan's Eta 2, this one's Anakin's first one, and then his one from Mustafar, and then this is Ahsoka's, I believe. Another thing here, like the V19, probably, I don't know, it might get a remake. Again, it gets to a point where you can't really get much more detailed than what you've done already, but it could do with a not closed mode, but like a landed mode, which I may do via a short, or just do it via screenshots on the Discord or community page, so make sure you're on the Discord, by the way. But I will just show you how to do that. It probably won't be a new video. Things like the Delta 7 as well are just sort of too small for a tutorial in the standard sense. So again, that might be a short, or again, you could probably even do it from just looking at these, just as a turnaround. But yeah, there's only a certain level of detail you can get. Like the V-Wing this time. Again, it's got the open mode here. It would be nice to do a landed mode with it. So you just kind of take this body section, stick it on the ground, and then just do some tricky work with the trapdoors and banners to make those closed wings. Last time in the previous World Showcase we had the TX-130, but it was sort of unfinished and it was a previous model. Since went back and redid that, and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. Obviously, it does use like skeleton skulls and some trickery all over the place, but it looks really nice, and yeah, happy with that. The Eta class shuttle, which was seen in the Clone Wars, again, this is fine. I never did a landed mode for it, and that was one of the big parts of why I didn't really like the ship, and I didn't really like the tutorial for it, because I just didn't do that landed mode. So again, if I do one of those, fill in that gap, make the landed mode, I will show you how to do it. But it might be worth just doing like a big sort of fixes, alternate modes video, a couple of hours long, but with loads of just alternate modes for builds that I've made and corrections and stuff. There's also the possibility to make the version of this from the Ahsoka show, but I need better references. The Arc 170, I don't know if this is the newer model. Well, I know that this is the newer model, but I don't know if this one was featured in the last World Showcase. But yeah, doubt this is going to change very much. May just change some of the colours around, but otherwise it's fine. The ATAP, again, could do with a little bit more green on there. I think I made a mistake with this one, because there is meant to be a raised section here on the left where the kind of viewport for the driver should go. But it would be, again, a very simple fix. It wouldn't change the geometry of the build that much, but it might be worth doing. Z95, same as before, LAAT. I think someone said that this was a bit complicated, like, for what it is, and I in some sense I do agree. There is a lot going on, and you sort of lose that smooth kind of white and red look, because there's just so much obviously over it that it kind of looks a bit messy. So I will try and investigate and see if there's a way we can change some of this and make it a bit more smooth. Right, the new class and I don't know how you say it, row class, just to make it simple. I am in the mindset that the length that they list on Wikipedia is nowhere near the correct size it's supposed to be. When you put it next to the LAAT in the Clone Wars and Bad Batch and everything, it absolutely dwarfs it. Whereas here, they're a very similar length. Very, very similar. And I just believe that this is meant to be about 1.5 times this, well, half the time, I can't even say it. Just make this about 1.5 times bigger. So like to about there would be perfect. But then the only reason I'm so annoyed and a stickler about that is because I want to capture the detail as best that I can, because I want to make it, as accurate as possible. So I may go back and remake this at 25.35 meters long, because they list that as the height, but it's nowhere near 25 or whatever I said meters long. Or high, sorry. So I'm going to use that as the length measurement and then work out whatever the height would be. And yeah, then we can take that model and make the much longer, I'm going to skip over here, row class with the dorsal fin and the big troop area underneath. I'll add that in as well. But these models, yeah, they're not going to get made in the current state. And these are the Imperial models as well, so I'm not sure why they're in the Republic lineup. So that's something to work on there. ATTE is still sort of fine. I think the amount of polished andesite on this, I'm not sure if I'm happy with. I would change a lot of this out for stone slabs or stone brick slabs, just to and stairs as well, just to kind of make that a bit more interesting. But otherwise, the shaping on this is pretty much fine. Those kind of leg armor pieces here could do with being a bit more slanted, but they're just not. And don't really know how you do it without losing this roundness to it. The T6 in flight and, well, kind of flight mode and then also flight mode. I think they've pretty much abandoned this design. Obviously, it appeared in the Clone Wars like this, where it's very, very flat. It's got these massive like tower sections at the top and bottom, which obviously the wing rotates around. But I'm pretty sure they're just going with the Ahsoka and Tales of the Jedi design going forwards, which we'll see later on where we see Ahsoka's shuttle. But yeah, it's a shame, but you know, the design, when you think about it, is really flat. So this isn't going to get a 2:1 scale model anymore. But you've got the 1:1 already as a tutorial, so, you know, take it or leave it. ATOT, this is another one where scale was an issue, but I did actually go kind of freehand with this one. There's a gap here, I wonder why. Don't think that's supposed to be there. But yeah, the ATOT was listed at about 14 meters long, which when scaled with the ATT just wasn't very big. And my theory was that because they changed the length of the ATT a while ago, it went from like 12 meters long to 22, that the ATOT should have received that same scale increase, but never did. And so I just basically increased it by the same scale factor that the ATT was, and it came out like this. And it looks quite accurate when you scale the two together to how it does in episode 3, which I'm fine with, and the 2:1 model goes off that same assumption. So it ends up being like 24 meters or something like that, as opposed to, you know, the 13.4. Yeah, road class transport. Again, something I really want to make, but I want to do it properly. And this size just definitely isn't how it appears in the Bad Batch. It's definitely quite a bit larger if you see the scenes with the kind of passenger or cargo crate underneath. It absolutely dwarfs any character, but you've got about, what, 7 meters wide here, which just is not enough space to fit that cargo pod. LAATC is okay. I think I worked from quite an old model to make this, and some of the colours are a bit wrong, and the wings are a bit too wide. So it could do with a little bit of an overhaul, but I'm not really focusing on that right now. Juggernaut, this is actually the updated version, so this wasn't the one featured in the tutorial. This has been changed since, because it features the kind of tapered inwards back part here. The reason being was I worked from the Battlefront 2 2017 model when I made this, and the model there for some reason features like a really square back end here. The back kind of driver's compartment doesn't taper up at all. It's just flat on the sides, so it's very, very simplistic geometry there. But Raven Deviant on DeviantArt has recently published a kind of orthographic set of projections for the Juggernaut, which I'm going to work from. So go check those out, because that's what I'm going to be using for the reference. And then the Consular Charger version here, obviously 138.55 meters, rounded to 139. I am making the Consular Cruiser at the minute as well, which is about 50% done, I'd say. That one's 115 meters, so it's going to take you to about here, I'd say, in terms of length. So that one will get a tutorial as well. That'll be a nice one to do. Obviously, one of the first ships we've seen in the Phantom Menace. And yeah, that's it for 1:1 Republic stuff. That took a lot longer than I expected, and my voice is already sort of on the way out. ATRT, one of the like first rejuvenated builds that I did. This was shortly after things like cobblestone walls and that were phased out, where I started using the stone bricks, and it still holds up quite well today. So I'm glad with that. I've got a little 2:1 astromech here as well. This is the Bark Speeder with sidecar. Again, pretty much fine, I'd say, for what it is. Don't really plan on updating that. The Swamp Speeder, it's got another name, I think it's ISP. Could do with an update, and I might do that at some point. Just, I think the textures on it are a bit funky, and there are places I would improve it. The Eta 2s in 2:1, again, same thing as there. They've all been tidied up given the proper modes and also all the alternate colours as well. The rejuvenated V19 Torrent here, which obviously got both the landed mode and the flight mode, which we did in a tutorial. One of the more recent things I made. I think it only was made in March and then also tutorialed in March or April, and very happy with how that came out. V-Wing. Could do I'd say could do with an update, but I don't know what I'd change. It's just one of those tricky things in this kind of scale where you really should have that taper just going off to a point at the front, but it just can't. So, but the 5:1 model would be much better at achieving that. TX 113 2:1 again works fine for what it is. I think this is based off the Battlefront 2 2017 model, so it doesn't have like the big weapon on the top, and it's also a bit more squished. So maybe interesting to do a more classic version of that at some point. Delta 7 in 2:1 again, no changes really needed there. It still does its job well. And then the Arc 117 2:1, same case. Yeah, still quite happy with this. Don't think there's many things I'd change on there. ATAP 2:1. This is going to get a tutorial soon. I am just giving it a little bit of a texture overhaul. And a few little build updates as well. You can see on this one here I've included that sort of driver's viewport there on the left hand side. So yeah, otherwise it's fine. It's just, and it looks like it's really accurate in terms of shape. The only problem is some of the textures are a bit off. I think these kind of grey bits here should be a darker grey, and down to the foot here as well they should be darker grey. But I will work on that, and I will get it released at some point soon as a tutorial and on the shop as well. And then the Z95, again, wouldn't really change anything with that. LAAT, so I don't know how many variants of this I had in the last one, or even if it was finished in the last video. Well, not last video, but last World Showcase. But we now have a total of 5 variants here, and there's some very distinct ones. So you've got the Clone Wars version up front here, the Episode 2 and 3 version here. You have the Coruscant Guard gunship, which was obviously inspired by the newish Lego set from last year, and that one was a very distinct colour compared to the rest. The one here, I can't remember which one this is, but it's essentially the same kind of colours as, well, colour pattern as these ones, but obviously in blue. And then you have the Munilist 10 gunship here in the sort of cyan colour rather than the darker blue, and this looks really great. All of these apart from that final one, I think. In fact, no, these last 2 aren't available on my store, but these 3 are. I will get those uploaded on there. This was an interesting one. I made this a while ago, but the shaping on like the body and the top wing and stuff is still perfect. These bottom wings could definitely do with an update, but the problem is that there's like 2 distinct variants of this that I've seen, and I don't know if the wings can change or what, but a lot of people depict the wings as cutting off about here, and it makes like kind of like a flat wing tip. But then some of the other references have this continuing downwards further and further, and it reaches like almost a fine point at the end, very sharp point. I don't know which is right. I don't know which is the right one to do. I also need to do this in a landed mode, but I don't have any references kind of like from the front or from the side of how tall the wings should be from the landed mode. So I don't know, I'll have to look into it. I'll probably make a 1-to-1 version first and just kind of eyeball it and then see how people feel. The Y-wing, I did have some alternate versions of this, but I don't know where they've gone. But I will probably add this to the store and then also add in the 501st Y-wing, so make it blue, and also the red version of the Y-wing, and also have the version where the colours are kind of swapped around, so the tips of the engines here would be white, and then I can't remember which way it goes, but yeah, a lot more colour on the other variant. AT-ATE and AT-OT in 2-to-1 right next to each other. You can kind of see the relative sizes here. I think this works out quite nicely. Again, happy with both of these. That ATT underside still haunts me from when I was trying to build that, because there was so much that went into it. So yeah, AT-OT, yeah, still fine. Loads of seats in there, as you can see. And then the UT-AT, which is a fairly new one, obviously adds to the Walker line up here, fills in some of the gaps. We did this tutorial recently, and you guys seem to like it. And then the final one, the 2-to-1 LAATC, one of my most kind of long-awaited creations, I think, and I finally got the tutorial out for that last year. I think it was last year, or was it this year? Can't remember. But yeah, still really like how this came out, and I don't intend on changing it anytime soon. But yeah, it might be a chance to go back and fix that 1-to-1 model a little bit, now that I've obviously done this one. And that's going to be it for the 1-to-1 and 2-to-1 Republic stuff. So CIS, a little bit less content, but you know, you've got stuff here, very small and simple stuff. So the Tri-Fighter, OG9, Grievous, Starfighter, Vulture Droid, AAT. Wouldn't change any of these really. I think they're all fine as they are. Hailfire Droid, again, I think it's fine as it is. This one, it's a difficult one because it's really hard to get the tread in there, but also have the rounded silver outside, whilst also trying to keep it skinny enough to not look like almost a chibi version. But I think it came out alright. Could probably add some banners or something to these grey bits to make them a bit less plain. Or maybe some polished blackstone buttons. Hyena Droid is fine. Same with the Magna Guard fighter. You see one over there, I'll come to that in a minute. The Tri-Droids, these are the Magna versions, so these are the big ones. The Combat Droid is about 6 meters tall, I think. So that would be, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, be about this tall. So yeah, definitely a mini one. Droid Guns to Ship is fine. This is a new one here. This is the Fan Blade Fighter. It's a very, very tricky thing to pull off in this kind of scale. And I think I only worked from just like a view of it like this kind of, and just did it by eye. So I don't know if the height's perfect or the scaling on bits, but I think it looks alright. And obviously that kind of sail on the back is going to be difficult no matter how you do it. Whether you use full blocks or if you use glass panes like I did. But I think it works out okay. But I think it will be one that benefits a lot more from the 2-to-1 scale. Max Illipede, I don't know how you say it, Max Illipede Shuttle is from the Clone Wars, and this is the 1-to-1 version. I think it has been changed ever so slightly from the tutorial model. I think this front area here is quite rounded off on that, whereas I've made it a little bit more sharp now. In fact, I've not even mirrored it across properly yet. You can see there's a stair there that's not there. And all the trapdoors as well, yeah. So, I don't know if I'll do a remake, but I'll probably just, again, put that in a fixers video or something. Again, all the Sheathipede variants here. Only one I think that I will do a tutorial on is the B-type, which is over here. We did the traditional one over here. The rest I can probably just add into the store as a very, very cheap download. This is a new one. This is the Platoon Attack Craft, which was seen in episode 1 and 3, I believe. And it's essentially the kind of more mobile droid carrier, which carries a similar rack to what the MTT carries. It does seem a little bit big for what it is. If I just go into F5 here a second, you can kind of see how I scale with it. And how I scale with the front here as well. If I just do that, so that's kind of how tall the droid would be. So it's meant to be 26 meters as per Wikipedia, but that is a Legends measurement now. But you know, I think it works all right, and it captures the detail. And this is actually a alternate version, so this is based more on the images online that I've seen of the craft, whereas this one over here is based on the kind of silvery grey, sort of like tinge of yellow that it shows when it's on the beach in episode 3. And then the MTTs could do with an update, if I'm honest. This front area especially I don't really like anymore, especially after making the 2-to-1 model, which we'll get to. There are some places that could be updated, and yeah, I just think it could be done a little bit better. But you know, we'll see if that happens at some point. And that's it for the one-to-one CIS stuff. Apart from this one, actually, this is a one-to-one Geonosian starfighter, which obviously very, very simple craft here. I think it came out quite nice. I don't know if to put it in this lineup or if to put it in the miscellaneous lineup. That's why it's sort of floating there. And then 2-to-1 stuff, we've got the 3 stat variants. There should really be 4, because it should have a Trade Federation one with the droid on, but I'll do that at some point soon. Then I almost skipped over this because it's so small, but this is the, I can't remember the name. It's a, it might be the Flit Knot Speeder. I can't remember, but it's very, very small and was quite difficult to pull off, believe it or not, especially these handles at the front. Tri-Fighter, I don't know, I wish I could remake it with more blue, but I don't know. There's not really any blue slabs or stairs that are kind of this colour. So hopefully they do that at some point. The, what do you call this? OG9, I think. Always had trouble with this one. I want to remake this at some point with legs that actually splay outwards a little bit and get this centre section here a bit more rounded, because it kind of is rounded at the top, but then when you get to the side, it just looks flat on that bit. The stone brick wall here is meant to kind of continue that roundness down, but I just don't see it when I look at it. I just see it as cutting off at where the polished andesite is there, so it makes it look really flat. The General Grievous Starfighter again in 2-to-1, no reason to change this yet. Vulture droids, obviously, again just another case of filling in all the gaps. So you've got the flying and walking mode for both colours. Hailfire droid, just in the sort of Trade Federation-ish colours. I don't think it's a Trade Federation vehicle though, but this is how it was seen on Geonosis. And then the AATs, they're fine, same with the N99, Snail Droid, whatever. Hyena Droid would probably never make a walking mode for this one. The Hyena Droid isn't many people's favourite ship, and to be fair, the walking mode looks incredibly complicated. Like, the wings don't only tilt like the same way the Vulture droids do, but they also split in half and become like all angled and stuff. It's very weird. Droid gunship is fine. Don't know. There's something about this that I don't particularly get on with. I don't know what it is, but yeah. Magna Guard Starfighter, or the Porax, whatever you want to call it, is fine. One thing I would suggest for anyone, I don't really do this anymore with all these iron bars, so I would change those out for light grey stained glass panes, apart from these end ones. So you keep the end one like that, but then all the rest become glass panes. Same up here, you'd do these 4 as glass panes, keep that end one, and then you'd keep this end one as a iron bar, but the rest glass panes. And yeah, just any edges I like to keep as iron bars, just to basically make it so that you can't see through the entire thing from the front. But yeah, Sheathpede, obviously a lot less variants on this side. There's just the classic one, and then the pre-modified Phantom 2 model. So probably will expand on that at some point. And then the big one here, this is going to be a tutorial soon. This is the MTT. Only in the Trade Federation colours so far. I will make the CIS one, but the tutorial will be focused on the Trade Federation colours. And obviously we've got both modes with the opening thing here. It doesn't extend all the way back into the body. There is a little bit of trickery with some black concrete here to make it look like it's just darkness back there. Because it just would. You would have to build the entire interior, which just isn't possible really. And even here at the front, obviously it splays outwards, it dips in and then splays outwards. It's meant to have a load of like silvery details here where the paint's been stripped off, which I did on the outside, but then it means you can see that from the inside as well, because this wall has to be so thin to allow this droid rack to recede back into the body. But yeah, I think it works fine like this, and I don't think many people are going to I'll hopefully not be that bothered that the interior doesn't extend all the way back. But, you know. And yeah, that'll be soon. There is, I will say this now, I am going to change the way that I do detail on builds just to make tutorials a little bit easier. One of the main things is the way that I do texturing. So obviously these models have a mixture of grey, brown wool and brown concrete, and that kind of adds just a little bit of extra texture there. Then you've got kind of solid lines that are actual details on the hull, so like these ones here, across there, down there, and then these darker ones are all meant to be there, and there's no randomness to that, whereas with these ones it is completely random. It is just basic texturing, and that's what I'm going to basically change out, I think, going forwards, is that in the tutorials it's just probably going to be a solid colour or one or two at most. In the past I've done, like, let's imagine I'm building I don't know, the Acclimator 1 to 10 model. It would be things like stone, andesite, stone bricks, grey wool, or light grey wool or whatever, all to achieve just that texture detail. And they're not actually like hard lines on the surface, it is just texture and it's random. And that's the sort of thing I'm going to be cutting out more, because it just like doubles the tutorial time to have to do like all these different materials when it is just superficial random texturing. So I'm going to be changing that, but I will explain that when I do come around to changing it, but it might be in this tutorial, so keep an eye out. That's it for the CIS stuff, and trade tradition and all that. Rebel has not changed, I don't think, since last time. The snow speeder, the B-wings, that is one I want to explore a little bit more with like alternate modes. But I think I might do the 2-to-1 model first. I just don't know when I'm going to get around to that. The A-wings, same as before. Phantom, X-wings, Y-wing, Phantom 2, U-wings. I don't like the attack mode, flight mode wings on this, but there's nothing I can really do. It's meant to be like thicker at this bit here and then thin out, and in concept it works if you're looking at it kind of diagonally, but it just looks like it sweeps back and then out, which isn't how it's supposed to be. Both Falcons, this one, it's been too long since I made this, like, to make it a tutorial now, so I'll probably just add this to the store and then add this as it'll be free, by the way. Put that on the store as free and then make this one free as well, just for you to download, because I don't really want to do a tutorial on this. Ghost, love-hate relationship with the Ghost at the moment, but yeah, this one's fine. It's based on the very first appearance of the Ghost, so where it had the completely flat tail. There's no additional landing gear down here like in the Ahsoka show, but that's something I will explain when I get to the 2-to-1 model. GR75, I mentioned this, is it GR75? I think so. Oh, it says down here. Yeah, made this a long time ago. This must be like a 2021 or 22 model, but it does need an update. It's still fine, it's just not the standard I do now. So we'll look at remaking that at some point and get a tutorial out for it. And then the Tantive 4, or Tantive 4, however you want to say it. This is the 150 meter measurement one, whereas I'll never get over this. I finished this model, literally I think it was like the day after they changed the size of the ship to 126 meters, but they didn't change the size of the actual model of the ship. Like, so the class of ship that it was did not change. So it was just the Tantive 4 in particular that was changed to 126 meters. So I don't know what to do. I don't know if to remake this in 150 meters or remake it in 126 meters. This model's a little bit outdated now, so I wouldn't make it as a tutorial as it is. So I don't know. I'm a bit stuck. A little bit stuck with it. That's it for 1-to-1. Suggest some new stuff for me to make, and I will look into that for the Rebels, because their lineup is looking a little bit dire, especially in terms of new stuff. But same with the 2-to-1, all these have not changed. And I don't know if I will ever remake them, if I'm honest. I mean, maybe the X-Wing could do with like a few texture changes in the future, but I don't know what I'd do. It depends what blocks they release. Phantom 2, I still always loved this. I don't know how this came out so well, but I really like how that came out. And obviously that can be used, as it is for the Ahsoka version as well. You just need to add a astromech droid there. B-Wing, as I said over there's some additional variants I could make of this, and I'd like to overhaul the model, but then also use that model as the basis for making a kind of upright mode. And then you've also got the orange variant from Rebels, but I think that's slightly different in terms of shape, so it'll probably be a separate model. U-Wing, I've been working on this attack mode for like 2 years, but it suffers the exact same problem as the one-to-one, where it looks like it goes kind of back and then that way. But it's meant to just be all in one direction, but has to be thicker at the front, which I've just found so hard to do. Could do with a little bit of an overhaul now anyway, it's been so long since I made it. But yeah, like the sandstone, I don't really use this anymore in builds that are like meant to be white or grey. So like the Falcon, the new model that I'm working on, is not going to have sandstone and stuff in it, or at least not in this amount. I don't really use sandstone anymore at all in like anything. Normally I use birch slabs if I'm going to use that kind of colour. Millennium Falcon, like I said, I'm working on a new model. I have been I got very close with finishing one, but then actually got some new references and realised that the one I was working on wasn't as perfect as it can be. So probably I'm going to remake it, do it like to an extent that is just insane. Get a tutorial out. I'm going to try and make the tutorial for the next one shorter than the last one, which was like 6 hours. But I'm going to try and work out a way to do that. It may be a case of doing the outside like all symmetrically and stuff, changing the details on one side at the end, and then for the interior, kind of get to the point where like this roof bit's off, and then do the interior all in one, and then put the roof on and stuff, because then you're not switching between all the interior and exterior materials like we did on the tutorial. And then for the Ghost 2-to-1, this is a touchy subject. They've changed the model in Ahsoka to an extent that this is not overly accurate now. But this still works if you want it in that classic Ghost from Rebels, and I will release this as a tutorial at some point, promise you. But yeah, it's the very, very earliest appearance of this, because it's still got that flat tail at the bottom, whereas literally after like, I don't know if it was the first season or after a few episodes, but the tail got like cut out, tapers down, and obviously in Ahsoka the tail got widened out, and also the engines shrunk inwards, a landing gear added, and then this bottom section here has also been cut down by a fair amount. I think it's literally to about here, so anything under that would be cut off, which, you know, it is what it is. And that's the 2-to-1 Rebel and whatever stuff. Imperial now, so Darth Vader's, the TIE Advanced V1, I think this is, from Rebels. Yeah, could do with a smaller cockpit on that, I think, which the Interceptor one may work, but you know, the Interceptor one is, I don't know, like it works in scale with the wings, but, and you know, look at it from a distance and it kind of captures the shape, but then functionally it's just not anything. It's not going to work. But yeah, that's the kind of size you'd need for this one. Everything here is the same, just a few kind of texture updates with the bamboo instead of the birch or sandstone or anything. You've got like Imperial versions of Republic ships as well, like the V-Wing, the LAAT and the ATT over there. Imperial Transport, I think, is one of the most recent ones on here, which we did a tutorial on. Lambda, I want to change the flight mode of the Lambda a little bit. And I also can't remember if in the tutorial these were all iron bars, because again I've used that technique as I did over there, change the middle ones to white stained glass panes instead. It just gets rid of that ugly iron bar texture, and I will not be doing big walls of iron bars anymore, just to make you aware. With the flight mode, I don't tend to do wings in this form anymore, where it stairs on the top, and then I actually use slabs underneath as well. The way I tend to do it now is to do the stairs upside down, and then on the top side you use things like levers and other detail blocks to texture the top side, and it looks a lot better than this because you get that ugly flat bottom side of the wings there. All these are fine. They did change the size of the kind of AT prototype to about a very similar size to this one, slightly larger, whereas that one's quite a bit larger. But I'm not really interested in remaking that. I think it's fine as it is. You could just say it's the prototype of the prototype, where it's even larger. The Zeta class, this is fine. It could do with a little bit of a texture update. I use a lot of stone bricks on this, but we now have things like deep slate, and if you're in 1.21 you can use like tough materials as well. So you can just mess around with that, but I don't plan on changing it anytime soon. But just a thought. The Sentinel, I need to get rid of that one actually, and remake at some point, but that's how it appears in Rebels and also New Hope, I think, and also more recently it's going to be in the new Outlaws game in this format, whereas this is sort of the more Legends version of the Sentinel, a lot more squat in terms of like being well, squashed. In fact, it doesn't have as much of a neck here, but otherwise it's the same size. And this is one of the best Imperial things I've made in a while, to be honest. But it could do with a 2-to-1 Legends model, and then if I ever get my hands on that Outlaws model of this Sentinel, oh my god, it's going to be amazing. We're going to get this one in landed and flight, and then also the 2-to-1 in landed and flight as well. Gazanti, I said last time we're going to overhaul this. I've not got around to it yet, but I will at some point. I'd like to make a 2-to-1 model and release that. I do have one at the minute, but it's not perfect. Quite old. Also interested in making the alternate versions of the Gazanti, like the C-Rock and the CIS model and things like that. So that would be interesting. And then the big one here is, of course, the Raider. The Raider class Corvette in 1-to-1 scale. And a project that took me a few weeks, and my god, it's just amazing. It's really, really cool. And just packed full of detail. I do want to release it as a tutorial, but it's going to be insane. It's what size is it actually? So it's slightly shorter than the 1-to-10 IST, and probably quite a bit shorter in terms of height as well, and width. It's just, yeah, it's packed to the brim with details, and yeah, I'm a bit nervous about starting this. The one over here is the Death Star Turbo Laser Tower. Now, it's been around for a while. I have recently updated this and given it a facelift, given it a load more details and colours and stuff to kind of make it pop. So let me know if you'd be interested in seeing this. There are multiple configurations of this in universe as well. So sometimes you can have just this top section here, you can have the top section in this one, and then sometimes it's got this bit, and then sometimes as well it's got this like wider base at the bottom. It depends on where it's been used in the Death Star. So let me know if you want to see that as a tutorial. Obviously it's very grey, but I've tried to add things like impression of ladders, little bits here on the side, and again just colours and details and stuff all over it. So yeah, that's going to be it for the Imperial 1-to-1. Let's move over to the 2-to-1 side of things now. Okay. So starting off with this, we've got a remake of the speeder bike, which is quite interesting. I actually forgot this was here. So this might be a cool tutorial to do. There's also the, again, TIE Advanced V1 the Mining Guild TIE Fighter as well. Vader's TIE Advanced X1, the classic TIE Fighter in Sabine's modified TIE Fighter. There's the is it Outland TIE Fighter, the one with the kind of collapsible wings. I think it's past, like the moment's passed for this. Not really worth making. You can literally just look at this and remake it. It's just a load of slabs really, and a little bit of landing gear as well. But otherwise, it's just the TIE Fighter model. But it's just there as a little bit of a tribute to the earlier days of the Mandalorian. Both AT-ST models, with the normal one and the Raider one. The AT-ST is still good. There are things I wish I could change, like the load of birch trapdoors. I probably would tone those down a little bit, just replace them with like buttons or something. AT-DP, there's so many to remember. Again, same thing, a load of trapdoors here on the side, which I'd probably replace with banners or something. The tank from Rogue One, TIE Interceptor, the newer size of this, that's more in scale, which obviously works nicely. I think we have done that as a tutorial. TIE Bomber. Yeah, these have been here since the last World Showcase. They're still not done, but these are the Trexler Marauder and the ITT. I don't know. They just need I need to just dedicate a few hours to them to just finish them and get them out there. TIE Defender, same as before. Looks really good with the new bamboo materials. All these still the same. Lambda. This one is very dated compared to the rest of the stuff here. Like it still uses this old tapering system I used to use, where I use stairs to taper stuff up, and I don't really do that anymore unless it's a kind of 45-degree angle. I would use like walls now to make that smoother taper. And yeah, it looks fine still. There's no problems with it. There's just a few textures that could be changed, and I haven't got the flight mode here for some reason. Like every other alternate mode that is finished is in this lineup, apart from the Lambda. I need to track it down and put it in this lineup. It's just very wide, so it will make this lineup quite lengthy. This is a weird situation here. None of these ever got made as tutorials, which is a shame. But they're all now outdated in their own ways and will need remaking, which really is a shame because I worked quite hard on these models. I might just put these on my store for free just so you can download them and use them, because I don't intend on releasing them as tutorials now. But the AT-AT, the classic version, it's still a good model, but there's bits that aren't entirely accurate, and it does still use that old tapering system as well in a lot of places. So I have been working on a new model, which you'll see when we get to the Shipyards, and it's going to be like the best one ever, basically, is what I'm trying to go for with it. But it's just, yeah, a shame that this one kind of got lost to time. And then this one here, nothing wrong with like the textures, although it does still use that old taper system, but then it's also now outdated with the size due to obviously the size change that they put in. It was when they stopped referring to it as the pre-galactic Civil War AT-AT, and they called it the prototype AT-AT instead, and then they changed the size to be about this tall, about where this head stops. And then the AT-ACT again, massive shame that this hasn't been done. It does use the newer tapering system on this one, so it's got, you know, the walls and things like that. Although back here it just sort of does the full block taper, which I don't really do a lot of the time. But it's the colours for this one that are like not right. Maybe I can do a colour overhaul and release this, but in its current state, yeah, it's not going to happen, which is a shame. It feels really chunky. It just feels a little odd. But, you know, let me know if you want to see it. And then the Zeta class in 2-1. Again, worked really hard on this. It's a massive shame that it's not been released. Never got a flight mode, which is the main thing, but then also, you know, Deep Slate and stuff came out, and so the textures would need completely redoing anyway. So I don't know. Again, let me know if that's something you want to see. And the Xantian 2-to-1. This one is probably one of the oldest builds on the server. It was made, I think, in 1.12, and all these stone brick walls that you see were cobblestone walls, but they all got updated. But then a lot of them didn't reconnect to the blocks in the way they were supposed to. I can't find any examples right now, but there were some over here, but I did fix them. Yeah, it's not a bad build, but I would like to just completely like overhaul the Xanti line that I've done. Kind of start from scratch. Yeah, you can see an example there, look. Start from scratch and just get them all done in all the scales and release which ones you want to see, basically. And that's it for the 2-to-1 Imperial kind of mainline stuff. We do have some Legends Imperial stuff here. So you've got the TIE Mauler and the TIE Crawler, which we've done a tutorial on, or Sentry Tank, whatever. This one's okay. I don't want to release it in its current state though, because the treads are a bit too thin. So I was going to go around these treads and add an extra half block to kind of thicken those out a bit. The TIE Interdictor, one of my favourite TIE variants from Legends, is the kind of TIE bomber but with 4 ordnance pods, which is insane. The only thing that's changed with this since last time is I've used this technique with the glass panes instead of the iron bars to try and reduce that horrible repeating iron bar texture. I was thinking the best way to get all of these like Legends ties out is probably to put them on my shop for free, or just like really cheap as a collection, especially the TIE Experimentals. So I'm going to add the other 2, I think it's 2 more that I need to do. I'm going to add the last 2 TIE Experimentals, and then also not do them as tutorials, but just get them on the shop as a collection. And you can just pick which one you want, and it'll be like 99 pence or something really cheap. Because obviously this one is just a TIE modification with extra weapons. So is this one with just the extra weapon pods on the side. The other 2 are a bit more kind of bespoke, so they'd need a bit more work. And that's it for the big TIE collection there. I don't know where to put them. I don't know if to put them in the MISC section for Legend stuff, or put them in the just Imperial lineup. But I feel like especially the experimental ones should be kept on their own. Resistance area here now. So since last time, a lot's changed. We only had the Y-wing and it wasn't even in its proper resting place at that point. But we've obviously now got the A-wing, the X-wings. We just need a landed mode for this, just to get those ready for tutorials. The Y-wing as per the ITS, Intersystem Transport Ship, which was my last tutorial. And then the Resistance Bomber as well from episode 8. And then the 2-to-1 stuff, the A-wing, which needs a remake, because this never got done as a tutorial, but an old version did. So it needs a new version and then remaking. Same with the T-70 X-wing, which needs overhauling completely and then be made as a tutorial. Same with the T-85. And then we've recently done this Resistance Y-wing, and also we've got the 2-to-1 scale Intersystem Transport Ship to do. And that's basically it. I'm going to make the really long and wide Resistance Transport, which I can't remember the name of. Make that silly little pod thing that Finn and Rose were in. What else? I want to make the Bunker Buster at some point in a Fleet Wars scale, but we'll get to Fleet Wars in a bit. Okay, so 1-to-1 for the First Order, very limited lineup here. They definitely need a little bit more love, but we've got the Special Forces TIE, the very new Kylo Ren's shuttle in 1-to-1, which is an exciting one, which I hope to get out soon. Just needs an interior on this, because at the minute it's just blocked out, and there is no actual like interior in there, as you can see. It's just the space is so limited. So, and then 2 to 1, just the classic lineup here. I don't think I've done a tutorial on this yet, but it's obviously just a recolor of the Imperial model, so I'm not sure if it needs one. This one needs doing. This is one of those shuttles that was briefly seen in episode 8. And then we've done this, we've done this. Probably never going to remake either of these. But then this one, I will remake at some point, because I know 2 to 1 scale Kylo Ren's shuttle is something that people have been asking for years, since like 2018. But this model's outdated now. Needs a new model. I'm going to go all out with it and then get it released. And that's it for First Order. So there will be a new ATM-6, a First Order ATST, and maybe the AT-80 as well, if I get around to making that. So, yeah. Anyway, on to miscellaneous stuff here. We've got the 1-to-1 Cloud Cars, Desert Skiff, the Naboo Starfighter. This is an interesting one. This is the Umbaran tank, hover tank, I think, which was seen in the Clone Wars. I've also been sort of making that in 2 to 1 scale, but not got very far with it yet. And it's just a interesting little thing. Let me know if you want to see that. The Slave One, sorry, Boba Fett's Starship in 1-to-1, and Jango Fett's in 1-to-1 as well. Yeah, no, Slave One. It's always going to be Slave One. Yeah, these were pretty interesting ones to make, and I think they still hold up today. I think this kind of granite walls could be replaced with more brick ones now, because I don't really use the granite walls anymore. Okay, so Ahsoka's T6. This can also be recolored to just make the one from Tales of the Jedi. The only other change you'd need to make as well is replacing this ball turret with another engine. But yeah, still really happy with how this turned out, and I'd love to make this in 2 to 1 scale, because I think it would be a great opportunity to add like loads of detail. There's meant to be a bit on here. I think it's around there where the airlock is. Obviously, she comes out onto the wing here at a point in the show. Darth Maul's ship. We have done this, I think, as a tutorial. I can't remember. It's not got a emerald block here, like, although actually, I don't know why. All these blocks have been messed up. Let's just ignore that. I'm pretty sure I've done this, but it could do with the landed mode as well. The Razor Crest, still the same as before, really. Again, another area here where I'd replace some of these. You could probably replace this iron bar with a yellow glass pane, and this one as well, to sort of carry this colour through, and then the rest will be light grey glass panes. You can also take out some of these trapdoors from underneath, just to make that texture a little bit nicer. The sail barge, I'm working on a remake over there, just a little bit better in the shape, kind of from the side, and also the sails are going to be a lot better as well. The Marauder, poor thing. Yeah, the Marauder, I'm going to make that in 2 to 1 scale as well. And then the Sandcrawler, I'm going to remake in 2 to 1 scale. I've got one there already, but it's outdated. But it is available for free on my store, just so you know. Okay, so 2 to 1 scale stuff for the miscellaneous side of things. Land Speeder, I just keep like changing and adding this and tweaking it, try and get it as good as I can. Ideally, this windscreen would come forward a bit more, obviously kind of taper up, but you have to work with the scale. The Hoth turret, one of the very few builds in Star Wars or Halo that actually has a bit of terrain around it. In fact, I think it might be the only one. But obviously that's the snow layer, just to kind of show where it's meant to be located. The Cloud Car in 2 to 1, the Chayla, I think, class starfighter from Legends. I can't remember which game it was. Knights of the Old Republic, maybe? If I remember correctly. Desert Skiff in 2 to 1, and one Starfighter in 2 to 1. Hallian Narcs Sheathapede in 2 to 1. This was from Star Wars Resistance, I think is the name of the show. I haven't seen the show, but I have seen the Wikipedia entry, and this is what it looks like. Slave 1 in 1:1, sorry, not 1:1, in 2:1 scale, but with both variants. So yeah. Ebon Hawk, which we did a while ago now, but yeah, that was a fun tutorial. Not a fun build process at all, though. It was very confusing. Darth Maul ship in 2:1 here. I have finally finished the landing gear and the landed kind of wings. Just needs the ramp coming out of the back now, and then this is ready for tutorial. Razor Crest in 2:1. Again, there's a few places you could update these textures, and yeah, it's not perfect anymore. There are things I would change, but I think for what it is, I'm not going to remake it. I will just, again, maybe add that to like a fixes video. And then the sail barge, one of my favourite builds I've made in recent years. Again, we did that as a tutorial recently. Well, not recently, a few months ago. I can't remember, I've lost all sense of time. It was a while ago, but it was a lengthy build process. And then the Sandcrawler is just one. Again, I am remaking this. You'll see this when we go to the Shipyards, just so you know. And that's going to be it for miscellaneous stuff. There are a few things here and there that you'll see, so like the work in progress 2:1 scale of that, and also the Naboo flash speeder, or Seraph speeder, whatever you want to call it. I'm just trying to find the best reference to that, and it's not going to be in that green colour anymore. It's going to be a like a lighter sort of aqua colour. Right, Fleet Wars time. A lot of people's favourite, actually. A lot has changed here. A lot, like to the point where it's unrecognisable. Mainly in the 1:50 side of things, and a few 1:10 things that have changed, which you'll see one of my newest favourite builds in a minute as well. So I can't remember exactly what was here last time, but we've got the 1:50 Quasar, which is obviously very small here. This will be done in either a short, so you can just build it from looking at it like this. So pretty simple there. Acclimator in both landed and flight, and then the second to newest one here is the Munificent in 1:50. Looks really cool. And then we've got the Providence in the smaller scale. So this is the 1088 meter version of this. There is one that's meant to be about 2300 as well, but I've not made that yet. And then this is the obviously the Venator with a few texture updates. And then we come to the I don't know how to say it, Recusant, I think. Again, 1:50, but it's the smaller version. This one is about 1100 meters. There's another one that's, again, quite a bit larger, which I haven't made yet. But yeah, cool. Really like how both these two turned out. These are the newest ones on this lineup. And obviously now we've got the Venator, Acclimator, the Munificent, the Recusant, the Providence. You've got like almost a complete lineup there. The Interdictor we've done recently is a tutorial, and then we've got obviously the Imperial and First Order Star Destroyers there as well. And that's it for 1:50. But yeah, quite a lot of new stuff recently. You know, that one, the Interdictor's quite new as well. The Quasar's quite new. Providence is quite new as well, actually. So just a lot of expansion on the 1:50 scale side of things. And then 1:10, we've got one work in progress build here, which is the might look like a T6, but it's not. It's not a T6 shuttle. This is the Diamond class cruiser, which was seen in episode 2, very brief, with like a few frames, but it's kind of laid on its back. So imagine how it looks now, but the engines here are on the ground, so it's facing upwards. Would look kind of like a taco, I think. If you look at it from tilt your head left, that's how it was portrayed. But then there are some images online of it in its kind of flight mode, where it looks sort of like this, but obviously more complete. And it is very similar to the T6. I think they based the design of the T6 in the Clone Wars on on the Diamond class. The difference is the top wings and bottom wings don't rotate around the body, it's fixed. But it does have this kind of outward section here. It's got the 3 engines on the back, these big fins on the back as well. So yeah, but I will complete that and then do something with it. All this stuff's just the same as usual. I might remake this consular. This is the charger one actually, yeah. So I need to make the smaller version. But then this one could do with an update as well, because it doesn't look great, and I've never done that as a video either. We've got a little mini 1-10 MTT there, as you can see, next to the landing craft, which is again another recent creation. The Arquitons, so this model in particular here, this Imperial version at what would be 325 meters in cannon, doesn't exist anymore. They changed it to 230 meters, so it, you know, I don't know if size-wise, how long is this? This is why I need to put signs on everything. So it'd be up to about here in terms of length, so just past where the bridge is. That's how long they've made the Arquitons now, which is more in scale in Rebels for certain, but then it means it's no longer like the same scale as the Republic one, because that one is still 325 meters. And then you've got the bigger version, which is Moff Gideon's cruiser, the class 546, I think. And that one's even larger than these, so that one needs making at some point. Then Quasar, Acclimate, same as before. And then quite a shift here. We get to the big one, the newest creation. This is the 1-10 Providence, so the same model as that one over there that we made. So this is obviously 109 meters long, and honestly the amount of work that went into this was insane, and it's just one of the most detailed things I've ever made, I think. You can see stuff popping in and out. That's some skeleton skulls over there at the back, but yeah, just the detail at the front here, where you got kind of this rounded section at the bottom, which includes the yellow lines and that going upwards, and then meeting at the top. You've got it splaying outwards here and meeting this round bit here. It's just crazy. There's so many angles, so many curves, but it just came out like 10 times better than I could have even expected. Even like just the bridge area here where it's rounded off at the front with the skulls. I'm just really, really pleased with that. All the antennas all over, and then obviously we get to the back here. You know, plastered with lights and stuff all over it as well. The massive engines, but then these little like stalks that connect off the engines to the body is just, yeah, it's insane. These trapdoors shouldn't be like that. That's foolish. But then it doesn't stop there. You've actually got the interior hangar area of the ship. So like massive circles on the floor, which you can actually see in the film. You've got Anakin and Obi-Wan just waiting to go through the doors. The back walls here are a little bit under detailed. They're just it just gets the job done though. But then you've got like the ceiling there with lights in there as well. It's going to be an insane tutorial, but still not as big as the Star Destroyer, so don't worry about that. And then the Venator, you got the 3 variants. Clone on the server was, and clone is in a guy, not that's his name. He's not an actual clone. Messing about with something here. I don't know what these boxes are, but it scares me. So yeah, the 3 Venator main Venator variants, obviously normal, command, and then Imperial. And then the 2 Star Destroyers. You got the one we did as a tutorial that was 11 hours long. And then this one here is going to actually be Thrawn's Star Destroyer. So you can see I've made a start with adding those gold details on there. But then obviously I've got a load of hull to break down and change that to gold. And then also the pattern on the underside that I need to do, which is going to be insane. And that's going to be it for the 110 and 1-50 scale Fleet War stuff. The rest of it's quite light. There's not much going on. So there's no 1-500 build yet. And I don't know what I would put in that category yet. Because I don't know, it gets to a certain point where like Star Destroyers and stuff are becoming too small in even 1 to 100 scale. But then like the Death Star in 1 to 500 would be, I mean, that's 1 to 5,000, so it'd be, you know, 10 times larger than that. And that would just not be possible on this world. So, I don't know, maybe the Executor could be possible, but we'll have to wait and see. And then the 1 to 100 stuff, pretty much same as before, just these two main ones here. And then I've been working on the Resurgent Star Destroyer as well in 1 to 100, but not got very far with it, as you can see. And then just 1 to 5,000, again, it was a scale made pretty much just primarily for the Death Star, which obviously we've got there. And then I was going to have a go at making it in 1 to 1,000, not for a tutorial, just for me. But yeah, never got any further than making these massive circles. And that is actually going to be it for Star Wars in terms of the completed stuff. So I'll just have one more fly back towards the main hub, just so you can sort of see everything again. But that's going to be it. Let me know what you want to see in terms of Star Wars, if there's any new things that I've not covered that you think I should definitely have. And yeah, let me know what you want to see done as tutorials out of, you know, the complete stuff here. So yeah, that's going to be it for Star Wars. I'm now going to transition to the Halo section, and we'll start off with that. I'm going to have a quick break from talking because I've done that all in one take. So yeah, we'll be back in 1 second with Halo. Okay, so we're now moving on to the Halo section. So again, this is all 1 to 1 and 2 to 1 stuff, and then we also have some 1 to 10. No 1 to 50 for this, but there is 1 to 100 scale builds as well. So we're just going to start straight off with the 1 to 1 UNSC section over here at the front. And I will just highlight these that have changed and just skim over the others. So like the Mantis and Jackrabbit are the same. The Warthog has seen a slight update since the last time it was featured, including these rails that help it round out at the front. I'm not sure if I'm 100% with those yet, but yeah. And I will also, if we don't make this as a tutorial before 1.21, we'll be changing these trapdoors out for the copper ones because they will match the rest of the build a lot more, which is going to be really important. The Hornet and Scorpions are the same. Gremlin, Mastodon. The Falcon has been updated since last time, and we have done the tutorial on this, and this one is just so much better than that old one. It was so chunky and horrible. The Hawk, I mentioned last time that I will be doing the 2 to 1 scale model based on the actual in-game model, whereas this one is based on the concept art. And I actually have done that, so we'll get to that later. The Elephant, I said last time I look forward to doing this at some point, but it's not been done yet. Let me know if the M312, or is it the M313, I can't remember. The Halo Wars Elephant, let me know if you want to see that one done. Data are still the same. The case with a lot of this Halo stuff is that it just hasn't been made as tutorials yet, but it has been built. So you'll see that as a common theme. So that's the same with the Data. The Saber's been done and done as a tutorial as well, and that one came out just so nice for the scale. The Elephant has changed a bit since last time, but to be honest, when I first made this, I made it using, I think, just a 2D image of the side of the elephant and measured the sections out, so then I didn't get the width as... Well, I think the width is right, it's just that some of the details on the inside and stuff aren't perfect. So I don't know if I'm going to remake this, or if I'm just going to give it an overhaul with the textures and stuff, but it's going to be a lengthy process to fix this all up to a state that I want it to be in. So you'll have to bear with me for that. The Pelican, we've got, again, what I called the Infinite one, but it can also just be the Halo 2 Anniversary or Reach model, and then this silvery one that we made in the tutorial. I can't remember why I chose to make it in this colour. I think I was working from a Gary's mod ported version of the ship from Reach, but they'd textured it in a more silvery fashion, and that's kind of like how I remember it, almost like a Mandela effect. But then when you look at the actual Reach model, it is sort of like a minty, like a mint green, rather than silver. I mean, it's closer. This is closer to that colour than this is, I'd say. But yeah, it's somewhere in between these two colours is what the Reach one would be. But that's what we did as the tutorial, if you remember, a couple of years ago now. And then we have the brand new Halo 4/Halo 5 Pelican. This is specifically the Halo 5 one because of the colour. You can actually do it more like that colour if you're doing the Halo 4 one. So I might do that as an alternate variant. But we've done this a long time ago. I think it might have even been part of the Christmas tutorials the first year I did it, which I think was 2017 or 2018. And yeah, it's just been upgraded since then, really, and obviously remade. I don't know if this is any bigger or smaller than that one. Feels smaller, but you still got all the key features here. You know, the dual cockpit. There is no interior just because, and I do try and include interiors wherever possible. To get the outside looking how I wanted it to, I'd really had to like cut into the depth of the build to do stuff like this, and like the indents here and stuff. And it just meant that like it was only 3 blocks left on the inside and even less in some places, and it just really didn't fit anything in there. I did try, but unfortunately it just didn't work out. But I think it works nice as a display model rather than functional. And this cockpit up at the front here definitely would have been a push to try and get, you know, the 2 seats in there, and you probably would have had some gaps on the outside. Longsword we've talked about before, and this is all fine. We've done the tutorial for that. You'll notice with a lot of the stuff here, and I mentioned this in the last World Showcase, I normally mark builds that I've done as tutorials with green, like emerald blocks, but for some reason I've neglected to do that with Halo, so I'll have to go around and update that. Vulture, I am still making this in 2:1 scale. It's looking alright so far. We'll see it when we go to the shipyards. The Albatross from Halo 2 or 3, well, and 3, it's still just, you know, lingering here. Hasn't been made yet, hadn't been put in the shop yet either. It's just sort of aging in the background. And then the Longsword, again, still working on that 2:1 model. I mean, I haven't touched it for a long time, but it's still in a state that I could just pick it up whenever. And the 2 new ones, like 2 major new ones since that last World Showcase, are going to be the Mammoth and the Ibis class freighter, which I'll talk more about that in a minute. But the Mammoth, if you remember, what will it have been, like 2016, I think, or even 2015, I made the Mammoth in a similar size to this. Not like spot on, but quite close. And that was just all by eye, just, you know, going in the game and looking around it and stuff. Whereas this time I've basically tried to recreate the in-game model as close as possible. And to be honest, this build process was torture, and I really struggled. There's so many areas on this that were just geometry that it just didn't make sense. There was just stuff everywhere. You find that a lot with the Halo 4 models, is that they're very in your face with what they're trying to convey. Lots of greebles and everything. You can jump inside. You might need a little boost potion here. This is based on the actual in-game geometry, and it is quite a big jump. No idea how the Marines get in there. There will be an open ramp version at some point. I just need to work out which bits to carve off, like the front, for where the ramp is. I don't know where it starts and where it stops yet, but I will work it out. But yeah, the interior is fully made as per the game, whereas on the previous model I did just kind of guess. I don't think I even went in the vehicle for that one. But yeah, this is fully decked out, and it's going to be an absolutely... I was going to say a mammoth tutorial, but it is going to be a mammoth tutorial, but it's going to be a gigantic, horrible, long tutorial process. And yeah, there is like the space for a cockpit, but the actual in-game model doesn't have a cockpit. So, I don't know, I might try and remake the one that I put on that original model, but in like a better fashion, or just leave it off. I don't know. Let you do it. And yeah, you got all the walkways, like the back bit here, and again, this is all in like as close as 1:1 scale as possible. Even, you know, the corner staircase here that goes up. I worked as well from someone made like a really incredible physical remote controlled version of the Mammoth, and the detail in that was even better than the actual in-game model. So he had like where the staircase is here, like condensed it to be a little bit thinner, and then had a corridor that goes down here and a doorway. And I thought that was really cool, but just because I was sticking to the actual in-game model, I decided I'm not add that in. But certainly an option. And yeah, you can see like the cockpit windows there and there as well, just like in the game. And one of the few places I've used this technique of literally just having floating iron bars, but it makes that antenna look like it's bending backwards from certain angles. Which I just think is pretty neat. And then obviously the massive Mac cannon on the back, which again has been remade as close as possible. So yeah, really happy with how this turned out, but it is going to be a absolute task to complete when we do the tutorial. And then the Ibis freighter is an interesting one. It was quite an easy build in terms of the geometry. You can see it's very easy tapers, like up and down. So this is from the Halo 4 map, DLC map, Outcast, if I remember correctly. And a bit of trivia, for a while it was thought that this was supposed to be the exact same ship as the Darter, but you can quite clearly see that there's a little bit of a size difference there. So yeah, it's not the Darter, it's been called the Ibis freighter, and it did appear in a, I want to say an Escalation comic, but I can't remember if that's correct. But otherwise, yeah, from the Halo 4 DLC map, and I just thought it was a nice looking ship. Obviously, really massive. I think it's about 90 something meters long. And yeah, there's just some interesting textures. With it being a DLC map and it only appears briefly and then flies off, you wouldn't expect much to go into it. But there is a lot of detail. It's just yeah, it was a nice build process, a lot nicer than a lot of the other ones that I do. So yeah, that's everything for the 1-to-1 UNSC stuff. Let's move over to the 2-to-1. And again, there's been a couple of new builds here, but nothing major. So the Mantis, the Jackrabbit, the Wasp, the Wolverine, they are all still from the 2023 showcase. The Hornet and Scorpion have swapped places. I can't remember actually if it was still the old Scorpion model I had, but yeah, this is a newer one, and it's probably going to be the final 2-to-1 Scorpion. The Wombat is new to the lineup, and we have made this in 2-to-1 as a tutorial already. This is from the Halo 3 map Longshore and also Halo 3 ODST. And it's a unmanned drone, but it's just really sleek looking. It looks like, I can't remember the name of the aircraft, but I want to say Blackbird. Falcon, and then here is the 2-to-1 Hawk based on the in-game model. So it's got these massive weapons on the side instead of the ones that the other one has, which I'm trying to remember which one has what. I know the other one is supposed to have missiles underneath the wings, which is the main distinction. They actually separated the in-game model and the cinematic or concept art model into two separate variants of the Hawk. One is the AV-22 and one is the AV-22B, I believe. I hope I'm remembering that correctly. But yeah, one is the B model, and this is the standard model. The other main distinction, I think, is these like sort of fins around the nose of it, which the other one doesn't have. So yeah. And then the Sabre is also new. This is the 2-to-1 model, which we haven't done a tutorial on yet, but it's it will come at some point soon. Yeah, pretty cool. I think there's a few areas where I might just give it a few little touch-ups. I'm not a fan of all the polished andesite there. I've gone off like stacking polished andesite. It doesn't look great in bulk. And then the Halo 3 longsword, or actually more specifically, I think this is the Halo 2 anniversary one. But this is in 2-to-1 scale, and yeah, you get a lot more room to play with. And this is quite close in size actually to the 1-to-1 scale Halo CE longsword. So you could potentially put an interior in here and pretend that this is the actual size. So I don't know, it's just an idea. Doing a lot of talking today, and I'm going to record some tutorials as well, so get ready for that. I don't know when they're going to come out though. So here is the Covenant stuff. So I think in terms of new stuff here, like we've got the Ghost, which may have been changed a little bit since that last showcase. Chopper and Banshee, Wraith, and the Anti-Air Wraith are still the same. Shadow, I think that was in the last one. Vampire and Seraph, same as. And the Spirit. And then the only new ones are these two here, I think. So the Halo Reach Seraph as well, which is quite a bit bigger than the Halo 2 model. That one's been made and looks really good from like every angle. It's even got the kind of bits under here where you wouldn't see it in most cases unless you're under the ship. So it depends how you're going to display it, but that's not been done yet. And then the Phantom has been done, and that looks obviously really, really nice. Probably will be the kind of definitive Phantom that I make, other than the Banished one. And yeah, although there is a Halo 5 model still to do, which I look forward to that. And then the Scarab, yeah, it's been here a while. It's still waiting to be made. The main thing I need to do before I do the tutorial is give it a open face design as an alternate build, so that you can actually have it firing. Because I think that's the main thing really, is, you know, being able to recreate some scenes. But yeah, still all the same really. It just needs that doing. It's about committing some time to it basically. And then 2-to-1 again. All these like first ones are all still the same. Nothing's really changed with any of these. But then you've got the newish Shadow, which is really nice in 2-to-1 actually. I think it looks pretty respectable from every angle, and you've got that ghost underneath as well, which really adds to it. And then the gigantic Combat Evolved Spirit, which I will make the Reach one as well in 1-to-1 first, and then also maybe in 2-to-1. That one's a little bit longer, but this one's just pretty iconic. It's got that kind of weird rib cage down at the bottom, which I think is the most iconic part of it for me, other than being shaped like a tuning fork. But yeah, it's got like ribs and then sort of like orangey glow underneath, which is something you don't see very often with Covenant vehicles, is that like really deep, like organic texturing, unless you look quite closely. But it's one of the few cases where I've used, I think this is Crying Obsidian and also Magma blocks, and then this is this black glazed terracotta, I think. So yeah, weird, strange mixture of stuff to try and get that to work. That'll be a new one for the material lists. And there's another one over there. What is this? Respawn anchor. Okay. Strange. Right, banished stuff now. So, 2 new ones since the last showcase, which were the Blisterback and the Marauder. Again, all these things here are from Halo Wars 2. There are no 1-to-1 scale Halo Infinite banished vehicles yet, because even the Phantom is that Halo Wars specific model. So, yeah, but then it's the opposite really for the 2-to-1 stuff, because these 4 here are all Infinite ones. Then you've got the Halo Wars 2 Wraith and Marauder. And I think there's nothing new on this row here. Now you see some stuff in the background there, that's quite exciting. So that's basically it for the Banish. The only change I think in the 1-to-1 as well is that the Banished Wraith has an open mode. So we'll make that at some point as a video. Right, so this is a new category here. Everything over there got moved back. So this is going to be your civilian and miscellaneous categories. So the Spade, which used to be in the UNAC section, is now remade, and in this section here looks a lot better than the old one. Go back and watch that video and have like the 2023 showcase. Watch that and look at the Spade, because it was abysmal. So we've got the 1-to-1 and 2-to-1, which I made at pretty much the exact same time, which was cool. And we've done this one as a tutorial already. But then the big one here is the Egret, I don't know how you say it, Space Liner, which was seen in Reach, and it was the ship that was evacuating the civilians. There was a couple of them in different colours. There was a blue one, red one, green one, black one. I think that's about it. I think one of them met a tragic fate, if I remember correctly. But yeah, we've got the green and black models here, just so you can kind of see like a really colourful one, and then how the textures change if you're doing this one here. So yeah, it's really massive, really packed full of detail again, but I think it worked out really nice. And it's got landing gear as well, which I don't often do landed modes for stuff as a default. I like to do it without the landing gear and stuff, but I think it really adds to it, and it looks nice from all the angles. So it's yeah, cool. That's it for the civilians so far. I am working on the evacuation ship from Halo Wars as well, which is something I've always wanted to make, but never really had the references. But it's the one from Arcadia. I think it's Arcadia City is the mission name, or just Arcadia. And there's 3 of them, and I think one definitely explodes, and then I think you have the choice to save the other 2. But I'm making that in a minute, and you can see the start of it in the shipyards, because I have made a start to it. So yeah. 1 to 10, nothing's changed here. Last time I did one of these, I think I got a little bit confused with my own system, because I said that if this is the Covenant side here, there's going to be nowhere for the Banished. But then, if I'm working on the same logic as Star Wars, it's not split left and right between factions, it's actually split in scales. So the Covenant stuff in 1 to 10 would be on this side anyway, but then this over here would actually be the 1 to 50 scale stuff of both UNSC, Covenant, Banished, anything. But yeah, I think I got a little bit confused. I think it was quite late into the last World Showcase. So yeah, it is confusing because I haven't done any 1 to 50 stuff on this side. So it naturally you think UNSC and Covenant, but oh well. But yeah, nothing's changed with those. I do want to make the Strident frigate from Halo 4. The last time I did one of those, it was before I even finished the original lineup of Halo builds. It must have been 2016, something like that, and it is well due an update. Problem is, with the Strident, there is no proper in-game model from what I can tell, because obviously the Forward Unto Dawn is meant to be this figure here, but it was changed, and they did like make it into sort of a Strident, but only the back half, so there's no front half to work from. But then that only appears in cutscenes. I don't think you can access cutscene models because they're well, I don't think you can, I'm not sure, but the pre-rendered ones you definitely can't, and that's mainly where you saw the Strident appear, is in the pre-rendered ones. It's in the mission Midnight as an actual model, but because it appears in the background, it's a low poly model, and it looks absolutely nothing like the Strident, to be honest with you. The only other place it appears is on the map, Daybreak I think, and maybe somewhere else, but I believe in those cases it is just like a, I don't know what you call it, but when it's like painted onto the background, so it's not an actual model, which is a shame, because I'd love to rip that model out and inspect it and see how it works and stuff. So, but yeah, I'll just have to find one online and work from that. And then the 1 to 100 stuff, the only thing that's been added here is the Spirit of Fire, which is quite close in size to the Banished Dreadnought. So yeah, there's quite a few things I could add in this. I may even, at some point, I don't know, maybe make the CSO super carrier. That wouldn't be a tutorial, I don't think, but it would be absolutely huge. Going to be looking at probably about 5 times the length of the Infinity there, so yeah, you'd be looking at it going up to about there, I think. And yeah, that's going to be everything for the 1 to 100 and Halo stuff in general. Ignore all the floating bits, these were from the 1 to 1 scale Stalwart frigate that I was working on, but a lot of it got left behind when I transferred it to the Shipyards. There's one little thing over here in the distance, which I do keep chipping away at, but I have been working on a sort of modular little firebase thing, which is something I've been thinking of doing for a while. I must have built this about 2 years ago, but then never expanded on it. But it's essentially having modular wall segments like this, and this one here, which is kind of like, these are your end caps of the walls, and then these are sort of your middle pieces, which you could stack as many as you want, and then you put another end cap on, and it ends up looking something like this. And then you could have like little barracks and little building pads and stuff. But it's something that will take a long time to figure out, so bear with me on that. But yeah, that's going to be everything I think for Halo. We'll go back to the starting point, and then we'll move on to the Shipyards, which again is the place where I make all my work in progress stuff, unless I'm being lazy, in which case I just build it here. But yeah, the majority of the big stuff goes there. So yeah, let's move on to the Shipyards. Okay, welcome to the Shipyards. We have been here before, but it has changed quite a bit. So before we actually look at the builds, I'm going to show you what I've been working on behind us here. So up these stairs is essentially a viewport for any players who want to see what builds I've been working on. So when I make my tutorials, I split it down into layers, and this is where I actually split the layers down and like photograph them, ready for like copying it on my second monitor. So this will be a place for you to see kind of what I'm working on, get a sneak preview of upcoming tutorials and stuff like that. So yeah, there will be a portal around here somewhere as well to get, you know, between the worlds. And then if we go down these stairs, this is something I've been working on recently. It is purely just decoration for the area. But if we look down here, I've blocked it off with barriers, but there we go. You got like layers of the facility. And if we go around, there's like power tanks and stuff like that. There's meant to be stuff behind there, but you can't really see it because it's tinted glass, but oh well. Come around here. This is all going to be enclosed, I think. Except this part here, you'll be able to see out, but then this bit over here is going to be enclosed with something. And this is where I'm currently working on filling stuff out. But we can go down these stairs. There's going to be lights and stuff in here as well. You can get a closer look at what I've been working on, and then you'd go down again. And again, you're even closer. And then I think that's where it cuts off. Yeah, that's right. But then if we go over here, you can see we're quite close to the bottom now. And this is actually an area I like to call the waterworks. I don't know why I've done this. I don't know why I've made it. It's just a really nice piece of set dressing. You've got pipes and stuff. The aesthetic you'll notice a lot. You'll see it in the tutorial pad from the original world and here as well. Like a very brutalist, but also like, I don't know, sort of cyberpunk in the sense of like poverty in a lot of places, but then also, you know, lights and massive facilities in others. It's just sort of like a, not a commentary, but it's just a really cool aesthetic for me. And you'll see that in the other world that I think we'll go and visit shortly, which is called Trinity, and that's my custom sci-fi series. But I've also made a city of sorts that goes along with it. But yeah, I just like this area. You've got like doors here that lead to nowhere at the moment, but they might do eventually. And then down there again, we use that technique with the fog to make it look like there's a really deep pit of water at the bottom, but it's kind of a haze rising from it. And then there's going to be something at this end as well. I just don't know what yet. Still working on that. And again, just these pipes and stuff everywhere. The main reason I brought up about the colours and stuff is that I've started to introduce these pipes. I think it really brings, like, obviously everything's quite grey, let's be honest. Silvery grey and then the darker greys. I think this really contrasts with it, so I've been using this for pipes. And there's also going to be a few more bits of red around as well, because I quite like the red. But this is what that looks like from the other side at the moment. Very much a work in progress. But yeah, coming back to the front side of that now. You can see down here we've just got like a plaza area. The very few instances of where grass, although I think this may be fake grass, like artificial, and then trees again, which are probably artificial ones. And then over here you've got like steps up to what would be an entrance into the actual wall, but there's again nothing in there yet. There will be. And then another entrance over here as well. And then it's just the same on the other side really. But yeah, we can look at the actual builds now. So for Star Wars, pretty much everything here is different from the last time that we were here in the last World Showcase. So I think there was a Gazanti of some sort, the brown Sea Rock Gazanti, I think. I found a better reference for it, so I was going to restart. However, I've just not restarted it. I've just left it. So this is what that was going to be. And that is the only 1-to-1 scale thing that was left on there. The ATM6 got abandoned because, again, I found a better reference. The Sandcrawler, if I remember from last. Just trying to remember what we showed last time. Sandcrawler obviously got done, and we saw that in the actual showcase. The Theta class T2C shuttle was abandoned. What else was there? The gauntlet. I mentioned last time I'd made it wrong anyway, so I got rid of that. So I will just restart that at some point. But yeah, that's all I can remember. Oh, the Bad Batch Marauder, obviously we did. So yeah, I will pick up some new 1-to-1 projects soon. But 2-to-1 still quite unfinished. This is where the TIE Reaper was. I did mention that I'd found new references, but again, same with this. Went to restart it, but just didn't. Must have got bored or something. 8080. Again, I've been remaking the model. In the one from the showcase world, I think it used walls and stuff on the legs to thin them out. But I haven't done that this time. But I may. I don't know. I quite like the legs on the one from the showcase world, so we'll see. But the rest, again, is just going to be more in proportion, and the main thing here is getting that proper taper upwards, which is what I wanted from that other one. So I think it's going to be good when it's done. It's just a slow process. This is going to be the 2-to-1 scale Marauder. Again, I've just done the top wing, started measuring out the cockpit area, but must have hit a roadblock at some point. ATM6, wow, this is going to be awful to tutorial. Yeah, I've got a really good model for it now, so even the underside is going to be good this time. I distinctly remember in the 2017 or 2018 model that the underside was just fully guesswork, and it does not look very good. Another thing people mentioned was the back legs were way too thin. I completely agree. This time they are properly proportioned, and there's just so many like subtle cuts in and out of the legs here, which is really good. Obviously the front ones need to be done. Very early days with this, but yeah, we'll get there. And then the 2-to-1 Sandcrawler remake, I was toying with the idea of actually using just normal terracotta as the main colour for it, because it is very close. It's more of a reddy brown than like using actual brown terracotta, and I thought that looked quite good. But again, I've just started one tread here. That's then got to double up to the right, and then another set of 2 treads here, and then obviously 2 and 2 in front. So we'll see what that looks like. So yeah. So I've actually brought a few of the smaller 1-to-10 scale builds and kind of combined them with the 2-to-1 area here, because when I put the stuff in the Fleet Wars stuff in the actual Fleet Wars area, they tend to get forgotten about. So I thought I'd bring them up here. So the Munificent in 1-to-10 is going to look great. Obviously we did the Providence, and that, you know, is one of my favourite builds of the past few years. And this one should hopefully get the same treatment. Obviously a little bit shorter, but also a lot more, I don't know, kind of spindly in some sections, like these arms that come out of the sides, and these two like tower bits at the top and bottom. So we'll see how that turns out, but I'm hoping it'll look quite good. But the same with the recusant, right? Yep, whatever it's called. Look how long and thin that build is. That's really crazy. It only equated to, I think, what will it be? 3, 6, 7, 8, 17 blocks wide, but then also like 100 odd blocks long. So it's pretty insane. But obviously the main width is going to be the engine sections back here, and then also the kind of rounded top part of it. The rest is pure like spindly. So it'll be interesting to see that. And then the Falcon, oh, this is a sad story. Yeah, again, not much, well, no sandstone on this one so far, unlike the 2019 model. And this got quite close, as you can see. However, I'm just not happy with like the taper here on the sides. It doesn't work properly. And then when it came to, I think it was maybe the front landing gear box and also these bits here, the way that the taper of this dome section had worked meant that it basically cut through it too much, so I'd rounded it too much, whereas it needed to be a bit more shallow. But I have got a like really good 3D model of the Falcon now, so I think I might unfortunately restart it, but then, you know, do it right this time, get it done, and then get it out there. But I do want to like go all out with it and then not do a 2-to-1 Millennium Falcon ever again, basically. Third time lucky. That 2019 model though, I think a lot of people still like it. Is my most popular video on the channel by far, with like 250,000 views. So yeah, here's the Consular in 1-to-1, the Phantom Menace version. It's looking quite good so far. Obviously the engine section's pretty much done. So I'm just working on the kind of filling out these bits here, and then this just like giant, I don't know, pylon bit on the top. That's kind of the distinctive part, I think, what sets it apart from the other one, other than, you know, the complete different colour scheme and the size, and the lack of weapons. Just need to taper these side bits up to that point now, and then the same on the bottom, and then do the underside. Again, the underside's tricky. You don't really have many references of the underside, apart from some people have made, like, I don't know if it's a recreation of the model or if the actual model used for the film, but I've been trying to work from pictures of that. It's just obviously trying to make sure everything's scaled right. But it looks good. Hopefully I'm going to be able to somehow put a cockpit in here for at least one person, but ideally I'd do two. With the other one, I think I used trapdoors and doors and stuff to make that work, but again, this one's a little bit smaller, so don't know how that's going to work out. And then we'll just go through the other stuff here. Again, this is a mixture of large 1-to-1 scale stuff, some 1-to-10 scale, and 1-to-100 scale stuff. Basically anything that's over the size of being able to fit in the showcase world, which I think is 200 blocks. Anything bigger than that goes here. It's just a case of how do you move everything around when you need to add a new one in, because I like everything to be in like size order. So yeah, so the Quasar in 1-to-1 scale, I finished this last year, I think. Yeah, really cool build. Again, one of my favourites. It's just quite a, let's be honest, quite a boring thing, but all the hull is like line detailed up, lots of colours on there and stuff. And again, something I mentioned earlier, I think, about this sort of texture and where it's all random, whereas these lines are calculated. That's the sort of thing that I'll be getting rid of in tutorials, because it's just a time waster, really. But I will be keeping it in the actual builds, just not in the videos. So again, another example there. That's all just texture. This, I did have an Enterprise here from Star Trek, but I had left it too long. Some of the bits were inaccurate, so I just found a better model and have restarted. However, I don't know when it's going to be done. This is the interdictor in 1-to-10 scales, quite a bit bigger than the other one. Got to this point with it, and then it got a bit difficult, so as per usual I just kind of gave up, but I will try and come back to it at some point. And then the Executor, so this is something a lot of people have asked for. This is where I've got to with it. However, I don't know, I just haven't brought myself to carry on with it, and I think I might restart. So that's another one to add to the list of restarted builds. And then the final 1-to-10 scale build here, I think, is the Resurgent, which, again, same story, got to this point, got a bit difficult, but I was working from just reference images then. I do have access to a really good 3D model now, so I'm probably going to use that, restart, and then just like power through it. When you have the model, it's so much easier. Like when you're working from basically like orthographic view, so it'll be something like this, and then obviously the side will be sort of like, if you bear with me, the side view will be sort of like that. You have to measure like every single point out, which is fine. But then when it comes to seeing the angles of some things, it's really hard to see that even from, you know, like projections. So just to have the model to be able to rotate it around and see where things are and where they connect up really helps. So I think it will get completed once I do actually start it with the usage of the model. This is where like my third attempt at a one-to-one Venator is. Again, anyone who's seen that short I did of like the half-built Venator, well, nowhere near half, but it was a fair way along. That build was abandoned because it just wasn't going the way I wanted, and I did find better references which would have given me a better end product. All I've got here is the start of an engine, and that's about it. I don't really plan on doing much to it. Maybe one day in the week I will just decide I want to make it, and then I'll do like an entire engine. Who knows? My productivity is completely random. The Acclimator is an odd one. It's been around for a long time, like a couple of years now, in like 95% completion status, but never released it, never done anything with it, never showcased it, because there's certain bits with the underside here and the landing ramps which I've now got rid of. I think I'm just going to close this entire thing up, close the bottom up and call it a day, and just make it the flight mode Acclimator, get rid of the landing gear and everything, because there's just not enough good references for things like the landing gear. I mean, if you look at this one here, that's not what a landing gear is supposed to look like. That's just a foot. That's a literal foot. I think that's the biggest of the things from this world. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, this build's pretty much done. There are a few texture things I've changed. I don't really like this. It looks like it looks a bit demonic. I'd rather that be a bit more refined. Probably actually get rid of the red nether bricks, change it all to the what is it, mangrove planks, because it's a bit more muted, whereas that looks sort of like blood. So that's pretty much everything on the Star Wars side, in terms of large scale stuff. Obviously the world's just struggling to load in right now. Maybe the case that I do a similar thing with this world as to what I do with the Showcase world, where it's not split between like Star Wars and Halo, which is what we're going to go on to now. It might be a case that it's split between scales, so it could be all the 1-to-1 stuff here going across, and then all the 1-to-10 stuff on this side here, and then maybe if I set a certain amount or a limit or something all the way back, you could do like a 1-to-100 and 1-to-50 scale stuff at the back, but I'm going to have to think about it. So, Halo stuff. This one is kind of tragic, I'll be honest with you. This is the Star Wars frigate in 1-to-1 scale, and this is based on the Halo 2 anniversary model, but the way I did this was really weird. I actually built it using the references of the Halo 2 classic frigate. So, you know, really blocky, really flat on every surface, and it was actually just silhouettes of it, so you couldn't actually see, like if you were looking from the front, everything was just pure black, so any area where there's depth like that, it would just be black, so you wouldn't see that there's a cut down here. You'd just see the blocks that are over there because it's all black. There's no distinction between that surface and these walls here or this front bit. So I had to eyeball a lot of it, but then came to doing the actual texturing and stuff, and I was like, I like the Halo 2 Anniversary model, but I also really like the Halo 2 Anniversary cutscene model, which includes a lot more detail than is necessary. So that includes things like all these turrets at the top here in this weird trench area, a load of turrets down here as well, some radar dishes again in this sort of trench. You've got like rails coming down here, skeleton skulls. This is one of my favourite areas, and it's such a shame that this probably isn't going to get used. But there's just like 2 cargo crates on this like lower jaw of the stalwart, and then you've got like this pillar here and that one there, detailed to the brim. But it's just like, I'd love to carry on with the project because there's all this top side here to detail, all this bit here, all this bit under here to do, and then I think all this side, all that surface, and all the underside as well. But the problem is, do I have the energy to resume this project, but with the same level of detail as what I've done, like for the rest of the build? So am I prepared to do like this across the entire thing? I don't think I am. But then there is the option to convert it to the Halo 2 Anniversary in-game model, which doesn't have stuff like that, but is still a good level of detail, but it does mean sacrificing all these lovely details that I've made. So I don't know what to do. Do you have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments. If not, I can just restart the project. I would probably restart it and then just build it as the Halo 2 Anniversary in-game model from scratch. But I don't really want to remake it. It would be a shame, because it's got quite far along the project. But then this one is a different story. This is a remake of the... I always say Charon, just because it's simple, but I think it is Charon. Class frigate from Halo 3, which is, I'd say, the most unique out of all of the frigates, apart from visually the Strident, I suppose, or the weird, silly one from Halo Infinite. Because it's got that giant underslung hangar, but it's also the only one out of these like 3 main ones that hasn't seen a really like high-def version of itself. So like the Paris is already quite high def because it was from Reach, obviously quite a few years after Halo 3 released. But then this frigate from Halo 2 from 2004 obviously got its higher definition model in Anniversary, whereas this one works using a lot of texture. So the actual geometry of this build, very, very simple. But then all the detail is made using those textures. And it was a case of saying, do I just copy those textures exact, but not add anything to it? Or could I reinterpret those textures as depth and add that into the actual model? And that's what I've done in a few places here. So there's like little cutouts on the side here. And instead of just being printed on the side of this front section of the side pod, instead of it just being printed, it's actually indented into the build. Same as up here, you know, you've got like a block and a half worth of indent there. Same with these missile pod launcher areas on the side. These are brought out of the actual main hull and are stuck to the side kind of. Same with these ones here, which I think are... There might be escape pods on the side here, I can't remember. These windows are embedded in, but they still have a little bit of depth around the corners. And this logo on the side is the only case where it's the opposite way around. I'd rather this actually be actually inside the body, but because of the fine details used on it, you can't really put it in without losing a lot of that detail on the inside and leaving gaps and stuff. So what I'm doing at the moment is actually texturing up all this front end that I've done so far, because the geometry is pretty much done up until about this point, and then obviously you see the gaps, and this is where the next stage of just building with cyan and deep slate is going to come in, and then I'll do the exact same to the back half. But yeah, you can see this front end is fairly sealed up. There's this bit at the bottom here that isn't, but yeah, the rest is looking quite good. There's so much potential for interior and stuff like that. This will be available on the store when it is done, but I don't know when that will be. It's just one I keep chipping away at. The most recent thing I've done on it is these side bits here, which I think came out really nice. And again, it's another example of adding depth to sort of bring out details and just reinterpreting what is seen on the model. So like there's a bit here that is kind of sunken inwards. These little bits here, which I don't know what they are, but yeah, same on this side. And then just been texturing down here recently as well. And that's looking quite nice on the front. And yeah, that's going to basically be it for that one. I think an interesting part will be, you know, doing this hangar at the bottom here. So yeah, we'll see when we get to that. And then the Paris frigate. A tricky one because it's pretty much up to date. Like, there are a few things I would change on it for sure. It still uses that old gradient technique of stairs instead of using walls. But otherwise, you know, the depth and stuff on it is still great. It just uses cobblestone walls, which is a little bit of a problem because I don't like using those anymore. But otherwise, you know, it's still very respectable. But it has aged just because of things like trapdoors that have opened. Probably a result of MC Edit from back in the day. Had trouble with like trapdoors and stairs and stuff. So yeah, you'll see here like corner stairs aren't properly functioning. So I don't know if there's a way to like select the whole thing and basically say, can you like reset all the blocks to like how they should be in terms of connections. I don't know if there's a way to do that, but it'd be good if there was, because then it'd hopefully fix all those corner stair issues. You can see another interpretation here, as well as the it's meant to be that thing over there, with the birch trapdoors. Exact same thing, just a different interpretation from a different point in time. Interesting to see. But yeah, still packed full of detail, and yeah, I doubt I'll ever remake this in full. Probably just majorly go over it with the overhaul of textures and blocks and stuff. But otherwise, it's still quite good. And then, as I mentioned, I was working on a 2-to-1 longsword from Halo 1. And very flat, very under-detailed right now. And obviously a lot of gaps. But you can kind of see how it's going to look in terms of size and shape. So that'll be really interesting once that's done. Oh, and there's the old Arquitons model, which I think is available on the store for like a few pounds, but it's got an interior as well. But again, this was before they changed the size of the ship from 325 down to 230 meters. So again, it'd be about that long now from the front. So that's a shame, but oh well. Oh, I didn't show off the Halo stuff in general, actually. So, in terms of 2-to-1 Halo stuff, I'll start with 2-to-1 for some reason, but the Vulture is looking alright. Just started the side wing bits here to try and work out the width and stuff. And this is the base for where the top missile pods are going to be. But you can see just how tall the Vulture is. You never would have thought it, but like, yeah, especially because the in-game model, you only see it from the top, you don't realise how tall it is. But yet it does look like this. It's got like a curved underbelly, which then curves up to the nose, up there to the middle, and then drops down again, back up again, and then connects to the tail section there. And then this is going to be the Banished Locust in 2-to-1 scale. I also plan on making the Covenant Locust again at some point, because one of my favourite Covenant vehicles from Halo Wars in particular. But I don't like making stuff with legs. I really don't. Legs are difficult to build and unpredictable. And that's it for 2-to-1 Halo stuff. 1-to-1, been working on the short sword from Halo Wars. Again, one of my favourite Halo Wars ships that you can barely even see. It's just when you call in carpet bombs and the cryo bomb as well. And some other times. It's meant to have like big swept-back wings on both sides, but they are proving quite hard to do. So I've cut them off, and I'm going to start again with that bit. But the build so far is looking okay. Banished Scarab here. So I keep just chipping away at bits of this armor plating on the front. That's going to eventually connect to these bits on the back here. But again, I hate building stuff with legs, and don't look forward to it. However, the Banished Scarab is something that a lot of people have asked for, and so at some point I'd like to get it finished. It's actually the smallest of the Scarab variants as well, which is really weird. Wouldn't have expected it, but because the kind of section behind the turret where there's meant to be like 2 prongs on the Covenant Scarab has been fully cut off from the Banished one. The turret essentially stops at the back of the build, whereas it normally would have a bit more. And then obviously it's not got the cover on the front, so it just seems really small compared to the rest. But it is probably a variant of the Halo 3 Scarabs model, or maybe even the Halo Wars Scarabs model is more likely. And then I did have the start of a Halo 3 Scarab before, but I don't know, I just refreshed my references and stuff like that, and it kind of stopped for about a year. So I thought I'll just restart, just try it again. And this is where I got to so far, and then, I don't know, I think I had to go to work on that day. So I didn't end up doing any more. The Covenant Tick, which is the boarding craft from Halo 2. A very interesting ship, and it should be quite simple. It's just getting all the angles right. The prong here at the bottom is actually just flipped on the left and right and rotated 90 degrees. So that should be really easy to do. It's making that center body as well with the tube. The reason I restarted was because I'd made it based on the Halo 2 model, but I thought it'd be nicer to do it on the Halo 2 Anniversary model because it's got a lot more detail, pipes and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to do this time. So this over here is the civilian transport ship from Halo Wars, or it will be at some point. I'm just working on the kind of top curves, and I am probably going to regret doing this, but because it is a mainly white ship, I can use the snow layers to like fine-tune all these curves. But it does mean that when it comes to doing the width, those snow layers are going to become a problem. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it this way, or if I'm going to just delete the snow, use slabs, trapdoors, stuff like that. We'll see what happens. And then over here we have the start of a lich from Halo 4. However, it's proven to be quite difficult. I think this bit here is going to be where you'd enter, if I remember correctly. So this would be kind of where you jump in. So I started with that, kind of worked the angles backwards, but then got to a point where it just sort of went a bit crazy, so I didn't carry on. But I will carry on with it. There's no reason I can't pick this up at any time. And then a few Fleet Wars stuff. So this is the only 1 to 50 scale thing in the Halo series right now, and it's a work in progress Spirit of Fire. You can see it's obviously quite a bit larger than the other one. But who knows, maybe one day we'll make a 1 to 10 Spirit of Fire. That'd be pretty insane. And then I have been, again, chipping away at this one. This is going to be the Covenant Corvette from Halo Reach. So this is where the actual hangar would be. You know, you got the Pelican would come in here. You got the not liches, sorry, the Ceres and Banshees hanging from the ceiling. So that's where that area takes place. Obviously in a micro scale, it should be 10 times bigger than this. But then also, this is where the Sabres would land, and you jump down here, and this is where the level would begin. So one of the few like Fleet Wars builds, I'd say, where you can actually interact and spot sections from the level that you actually interacted with, you know, in a miniature format. So you'd be like the size of a candle, pretty much. There you go. That's you. So yeah, I'm going to delete that, otherwise I'll forget about it. There we go. Yeah, that is pretty much everything at the shipyards, I think. Again, I'm just trying to also juggle the builds, but try and keep the set dressing updated as well, because obviously these walls look nice, like from maybe about here, and then when you go outwards, you know, for a repetitive, it cuts off. There's a load of like rubbish on the inside, and then this doesn't connect up. So I've got to work on all that, but yeah, it should look nice when it's done. And again, this will be hopefully a publicly accessible area when the server is live. Talking about the server, I do want to talk about that a little bit for anyone who has questions or wants to know when it's coming. I'm just trying to get my head around things like permissions and what you need to expect from a server. Like, it's probably not going to be one of those that's filled to the brim with mini games or activities. I'm hoping to have survival and creative at some point. Definitely plots for players to build on, but yeah, I don't know when it's going to happen. I just need to keep learning the plugins and things like that, and also, you know, get everything presentable ready for people to come and look at. Because mainly it will be a place to just come and look at what I've been working on, look at completed builds as well, and yeah, the whole like actual playing the game and playing mini games will be present, but would be a side part of the server. So yeah, that's going to be it for the shipyards. I even put a fancy sign up there. We will now move on to Trinity, which I think will be the last world for this showcase, and it's basically a city that basically like custom made. So I'm going to show you that now. I'll explain more about it in a minute. Okay, we're now in the Trinity world, which is essentially a custom sci-fi series set in a custom world with custom vehicles, houses, ambience, environments, everything. We're currently in a place that I just know as Market. It's essentially just a outdoor trading area and also residential space for pretty low income people in this world. So you've got market stalls here, you've got a container house of some sort up here. Going behind, actually, that's one of the portals that was from the original spawn of the server, and I just made it ruined. And it's essentially like a centerpiece of the market. It's like an old artifact that no one knows where it came from, but it was here when we moved, and they all just built around it. You've got like a sort of office block on the right here, but it's definitely seen better days. You'll notice everything in this world is pretty run down and grotty until you start to get to the nice areas. But yeah, you've got like massive ground-based like air vents here that just constantly releasing fumes, or I don't know, air, who knows. I've come to this bit first for an unknown reason, because this is probably one of the most unfinished parts. There's going to be more houses on this side of the road, and you can see the start of a giant like overpass there, which connects to this bridge. This is a nightclub, which, if I go inside, nothing on the ground floor at the minute, but upstairs you do have the kind of dance floor area and a bar. Nothing in the bar yet, but then you go further up on this outdoor staircase. Again, another dance floor here. Gives you a nice view outside as well. You'll see these lovely custom neon signs as well, created by Cloning About, which is the guy I mentioned earlier, I think. Does a lot of stuff on the server with me. You can see out this window as well. So there we go. And we get out of here. Just need to remember to put these blocks back. There we go. I did have a light source. There we go. So if we go down this way, you can see some more houses here. So you've got this one with a ladder leading upstairs, and this is all decked out fully. I think Clone actually built this bedroom, because I don't remember doing this. But this is a really nice setup, actually. I like this. I like the desk. That's nice. Well done, Clone. And then the downstairs, he might have done this as well, actually. I don't remember doing this. So again, well done, Clone. Then we have another house over here. This one you enter from the staircase that goes up, but there's nothing on the inside yet, I don't think. So I have to get that one done. You turn around. This is a secret area. I'm not going to show you this. Not yet. And over here, there will be some market stalls, traders in this area. I just need to get around to building those. A lot of this, again, is work in progress. I'm nowhere near saying that this is like final or how it's going to look by the time it's done. You go up this staircase. This is going to be a restricted access area, just for military personnel. So there will be some sort of gate or checkpoint here. But this first layer will take you round to underneath that platform, and it just gives you kind of a view over this area and over this area as well. So you probably have like guards on duty roaming around here. This is the back of a diner, so it's probably a suspicious area, which is why they would have kind of guards being able to oversee that. And then you will also be able to obviously see what's on that side of the road, which there should be some buildings in between these two roads. Again, that's a work in progress because we're just working out the road layout at the minute. That's a car park, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, because I made it and it was, I wouldn't say fun, really repetitive to build, but also quite satisfying when it was done. So when you get to the top of these steps here, you get to pretty much like a military fortification. It's essentially not allowing anyone from this part of the city to get onto the freeway, overpass, whatever you want to call it, to the other parts of the city, because that way I think is going to take you to the rich like parts of the city there. So you have got like a helipad here, and this is one of the main things with Trinity, was that you'll have seen some of the tutorials that I made for the vehicles. And if I show you the vehicles now, you've got vehicles of all different sizes and all different like manufacturers and planets. But it was, how do I integrate these with the actual city? Because at this point, a lot of them are way too big. The city is not one-to-one scale with real life. It's probably nowhere near. But these are definitely nowhere near one-to-one scale. So like this is meant to be a personal family craft, but it's like probably like 20 something meters long, which really wouldn't be the case in reality. This is definitely either double or even more than double scale. Like this helicopter here, a lot bigger than a helicopter would be in real life. And a lot of these massive ones, they're just not going to fit in the city at this point. But that helicopter there was one of the few that I did manage to squeeze on. So I did dedicate this area to a helipad. And yeah, pretty cool. I liked building the helipad as well. It was interesting process. Some big fuel canisters there as well. The main thing I love about this particular series is that you can just kind of go crazy with it for a while. You can just go freeform, no need to adhere to blueprints or scale or anything. It's very liberating in a way. But then, yeah, that's not the only way to get around the city. We kind of skip to the end almost, because this is where you would kind of be cut off from leaving, unless you're a person of importance. Down here, kind of going back towards the inner suburbs, you've got some of the more upmarket houses. They're not amazing by any means, but they're a little bit nicer than some of the ones down in the core of the city down there. So you've got this one here with an interior as well. This one with sort of like the dual tiered layer there. Again, actually quite nice on the inside. And then downstairs hasn't fully got furnishings in. Oh, there's a little kitchen there. It also has a balcony with a sofa and a nice little table, which is a lot more than some of the other people get in the city, so I appreciate that. And then this one, I think this one has just got a few bits in there. Staircase upstairs, and then just a table there, a little bed in the cubby hole. But yeah. And then that takes you out onto this bit here, which is essentially a junkyard of sorts. It's not fully committed to that junkyard purpose yet, but you do have like just a sort of mini truck, like a equivalent to a van almost, a futuristic van in a way. So that's what that is kind of. Another little, probably like a junkyard trading area here where you could, bring your scraps or whatever and trade those out with this guy. Again, you'll notice there's no like NPCs or anything. They will likely be added last. So over here, this is more of your kind of junk area, a little garage, and some suspicious activity behind, because you've got some hidden treasures that they've certainly not declared as taxable. So yeah, keep those hidden behind those curtains there. Another little stall here, selling a plant pot and what's that, a grindstone, I think? No, not a grindstone, it's a stone cutter. Here you've got what would essentially be like the citizens trying to just add a little bit of life to their city, because these walls by default are just grey with moss because of how old the place is. So they'll start painting bits of it, but then get caught painting, told not to do it, and then it's just left looking like a mess. You've got bits of brown as well from just kind of bits of mould and grime. Maybe it's stone that's weakened over time. And all over the city you'll notice, maybe not there because it's not done, but all over the city you'll notice areas of the wall that have been kind of just knocked out, but then you can see the inner workings of the wall, and these would be kind of the rebars between the stones. And I think that just adds like a load to the personality. You can go up these stairs. I would go through the tunnel, but there really isn't anything nice to see on the other side. It's just stone at this present moment. I think the main thing, before I go any further, the main thing is getting this road here linked up and figuring out what goes in this area, and this area here as well that's raised up, because then we can sort of segue over into that massive area and start adding some more houses and stuff. This will be a house, but it's just been marked out as a kind of ground layer first. Again, more upmarket style houses here, overseeing the junkyard and the smaller houses below. I think on the inside it's pretty bare bones at the minute, but definitely potential to add more. Yeah, a little balcony. Not many people get a balcony around here, so. And then this leads you up to the rooftop here, where there's two sun lounges, which is very optimistic of whoever lives here, because you're not going to get to see the sun in this place. There are going to be taller buildings that will completely overshadow everything that's in this area. So yeah, there's not much point having those sun lounges, I'm afraid. Coming into here, this one, again, this is going to be your kitchen area with your fridge. Little living room, actually quite nice, quite cozy. And you've got kind of like is it a mezzanine? Is that what you call it? But an area that's kind of cut out in one floor, but you can see it from the other floor, with a little balcony area here and the lamp going down. And again, balcony area over here, a little garden, artificial flowers, of course, because there will be minimal sunlight in this area. And then the idea actually is to have like a giant wall along this side, because this is going to be the edge of the city, I think. It's just a case of working out how to design a wall that's really, really tall, but also can go the entire way across the city. Here is a little, I want to say like a sunroom almost for the people who live in this house, but it's not connected by door to the main house, I don't think. So I might add that in. This is a completely ruined and abandoned house. Even by the standards of this city, this one is completely written off. Legends say it's haunted. There is another haunted house in this area, which I will show you later. But yeah, there's just nothing in here. Completely cleaned out. I am going to do some more to the floor to make it look a bit more broken. But going upstairs again, there's been some sort of explosion or something, or a fire, because the roof, the walls, everything on the top floor is completely broken. Rebar everywhere. You'd certainly fall through these gaps here. Jump over to this bit, but I wouldn't recommend it. This floor will probably collapse if you do. And yeah, that's what that looks like from the outside. Still managed to get an advertisement on there though. That's the important thing there. Yeah. Coming over to this side, so what have I got left? I'm trying to get around the city and kind of work. Let's go this way. We'll go this way here. So this is one of the buildings we recently refurbished. It was very... didn't have much depth, put it that way. So we added some depth and remade the exterior and stuff. This is where the door would be. I don't think it's open because there isn't actually an interior in there. On the inside, yeah, it's just no interior really yet. It's just kind of marked out where the floors would be. But yeah, it's got balconies though. That's the important thing. You can look at some pipes. Very good. We'll get to this area down here and then work back inwards, I think. So there's just a load of scaffolding here. Clearly working on something on this building, which you can weave your way around, just don't fall off. And yep, I like using barrels. I really like the barrel texture, and it just adds a lot of detail, I think. This is a angled building. It's kind of at like a, I want to say like 30-degree angle. But it was interesting to try and build in that style. I think this one doesn't have an interior because once I finished the exterior, I was so tired from trying to make it work that I just was like, nope, I'm just going to leave this for tonight and go to bed. And then this is a case of where one of the vehicles from the lineup was actually used. This is sort of like it's the size of what I would think a large family vehicle would be, but it does only have one seat. but it has been covered with the tarp at the back there. One of the engine pods at the front has been taken off to be worked on. Probably is just being dismantled at this point rather than being repaired, because it is kind of in a state of rubbishness. And one of the engines on the back is gone as well, either stolen or taken off. And this is another vehicle from the lineup. This is actually one of the vehicles that belongs to the kind of main antagonist faction, which is the Trinity Force. But this one has been decommissioned and the rear turret taken off. We actually did this as a tutorial, the kind of proper version of this, which is, I'll show you from afar, but that one there, the grey one with the yellow window and the big turret on top. And this is kind of wrecked version of that. The wheels have been taken off and put on jacks there. So yeah, cool. This is one of the most recent buildings that I made, which is another angled one. It's not entirely finished yet. You can see there's no lower floor, but the upper floor does have details in there, and it's another kind of angled one, so it was a little bit tricky to do. It has a weird sort of tower section here that doesn't really do anything. It's just sort of there, but it does connect to this building here, and it's going to have some washing hung off this line. It's one of the first things that I did was connect a load of the buildings with these lines to hang washing off, and you'll see that over here in abundance. So yeah, cool stuff. And this is one of the few buildings actually that has proper windows. Most of the time it's either open or trapdoors or iron bars, but this has actual windows. And you can get up to the upper floor, which doesn't have anything in there. It's sort of like almost like a greenhouse style, but instead of, windows, it's iron bars and stone brick walls. But then you just got a little balcony area on the rooftop. This is where another angled building is going to be, but it's currently got two animals in there for some reason. They have fallen in and they cannot get out. In fact, I am going to let them out if they want to, so they can go out there. Making a run for it. Great. So this is kind of the core of the city. This is where it all started, actually. And yeah, there's a lot of different building styles here. I think the first building will have been this one, if I remember correctly. This like brown and tan building, which is a very interesting shape. Not sure how I feel about this top tower section. Probably going to remove that or rework it, but yeah. And then we have like sort of I really like the colour on this one. Just the prismarine and the Elcestrus trapdoors works really nicely. But it doesn't actually have an interior despite how old it is, which is a shame, I'll be honest. But I will do it at some point. And then upstairs, again, you have the floor and everything, it's just no furniture. Same again up here for this one. And this is, yeah, the kind of very, very poor core of the area. And this is one of my favourite bits, actually, this kind of section of alleyways with just stuff stacked up. You could imagine people hiding around every corner to get you. But the tightness of this and how claustrophobic it is just, yeah, speaks volumes. So I just want to make sure I've not skipped over any important areas before we move to the next bit. I will go around the outside here first as well, actually, and just show you this. So got the interior of another building there, and this one here, but it has just been blocked off because it is just a facade. And then this building here is just another residential building. So I'm going to drop back into, let's see, where can we go? I'm going to drop down into here and make sure I've not missed anything this way. I've come the wrong way now. I've come the wrong way. Yeah, this is how easy it is to get lost. Even I get lost in this place. Okay, so this takes you to the kind of, I want to say, the homeless capital of the city. There is a big sort of tent area here. using repurposed washing lines. These are more like tarpaulins than clothes, and lots of sleeping bags on the floor. It's not a nice area to live, very cold, so they've got a fire pit. There's a horse in here. He's not meant to be here. He does need to be escorted away from this place, but it is a very sad situation. And yeah, this is one of the central streets as well. It just gives off the same vibe. Again, all the walls are falling apart. There's scaffolding everywhere to try and hold stuff together, but it's just not. It's not going to happen. There's not the investment to sort this out. They're much more focused on the other areas of the city that they want to work on, and they've sort of left this bit to just rot. But you've got alleyways and houses and stuff. This is kind of one of the main things I wanted to go for, was like the whole stacked approach of you've got a decent house, but then you've got another house above you, and they don't care that they're going to block your light out. They're just going to get on with the stuff. That's an office up there, I think, actually. But yeah, another house here, and then you reach the end of this alley. Just cut off just there. You can get through to the other side of the alley through the house, but I'll go around there manually. This is the one fancy thing they do have down here, which is a state-of-the-art generator, which is going to be doing most of the power for this area. This is where the old generator was, and you can see that there was some sort of incident here. I think it may have exploded because it's taken away a vast majority of the ground and also a large amount of the wall. It's definitely cut massively into that. Over here we have what I like to think is a fish restaurant of some sort. It just gives me that vibe with the colours. You can see they've got like a tarp across the kitchen so you can't see them, cutting the fish open and stuff. A nice dried up old plant and room for 6 people to sit inside. And here is the bathroom. And then we'll leave that place. There's just one more house up here, which does have an interior. There's a few more, but they're all kind of similar. Down here is the other sort of haunted house of this place, which, again, if you look from the outside, it's fairly blends in. It's a very grey house compared to the rest. Very old, probably one of the oldest in the city. But you go inside, obviously you've got cobwebs, lantern light for the most part. Again, ceiling falling through, rebar showing. This is kind of the inner kind of, well, not plaster. The outside is meant to be plaster, so these blocks here are the wall plaster, and this is the actual structural wall inside that's obviously been exposed. Same here, cobwebs. This is what was the kitchen, but it's been pretty much torn apart. You go through here, you can actually see directly to the marketplace from earlier, because that back wall has been shattered. You go through here, the ceiling is meant to extend across and above the staircase, however obviously it's completely fallen through. And yeah, oh, that's cool. I can flick the light on and off. Yeah, kind of creepy. The only other thing here is this weird like cavity where there's just a load of stuff. I don't know why I made this. It's kind of creepy in a way. The house is barren, but there's just this abundance of stuff at the back here. I always imagine like sitting at the back here, and then you just see someone crawling towards you through this, and there's literally nowhere to go. Yeah, kind of creepy. And then we come out here again. They were optimistic with their balcony space when they lived here, because they're not really looking at anything. I couldn't imagine just sitting here and going, lovely day, lovely day. The sun is shining down. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I think that pretty much summarizes what Trinity is about. Like, this is the core of the city. This is where everything is kind of building on top of, and then there will be more and more, probably spreading out more as you get to more wealthy areas. But yeah, this is kind of the area that started it all. And if you go through my old videos, you can probably find the original Trinity city that I was working on, which was a single player world, and similar vibes to this. It was a little bit more spread out, I think, but I do want to introduce that area from the original world into this world, but remake it, which would be a nice tribute to it, and also a way to make sure it's not lost to time. So I will be adding that in somewhere in the city at some point. But again, this will all be playable space, but I honestly don't know when this bit is going to be available, just because of how early days it is in terms of completion. And it may just be a case that it's published, but there are limits to the city while I work on more stuff. So who knows? But then just miscellaneous stuff on this world. There's a few more ships I was working on. Working on remaking a massive capital ship from years ago, but I'm probably going to abandon that because it's just not really worth it. This one here was from years ago. You can see the cobblestone walls, but I never finished it. So yeah, who knows? Anyway, that is going to be it for Trinity. So we're going to go back to the main world, just do a bit of a outro, and then we'll be done with the video. So see you in a second. Okay, yeah, so thank you so much for watching the video. I know it's been a bit of a long one, and it's not a tutorial, which I know a lot of you want to see. But yeah, do let me know what tutorials you want to see now that you know kind of what's finished and what's ready. And yeah, I suppose just let me know what you want to see next, anything that you want me to build. Give me some new series ideas if you want. And make sure if you see a series idea that someone else has commented, make sure to give it a like so that I know that you agree. And then maybe I could start it. I know a lot of people want to see Star Trek stuff. Some people want to see the helicopter thing from Avatar, which I will try and build. There's a few other things I can't remember. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go now. I'm going to have a rest because this has been quite a lot of talking. But thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial, which I hope is going to be very, very soon. And yeah, have a great day, and see you later. Hey guys, before the video ends, I just wanted to let you know about my new schematic store. This is a place where you can download builds from the past, from tutorials that are out now, and even preview builds from the future. Link is in the description. Go and have a look, see if there's anything you like. And yeah, see ya.